Oh, welcome in on a Wednesday morning, June the 25th. Up and going here. Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, Bill Gunner. NBA draft night. And I really didn't think about it until just now. We should have put out a family mandate that we all had to wear our best NBA draft swag to match what Colin Murray Boyles is going to be wearing.
That would have been called. Now, will we have been wearing these swag from the time when we would have been drafted? Because my 6-button huge suit is no longer with us anymore.
The boxy suit? Is that what I understand correctly?
The Carmelo suit is no longer with us. It has been donated. Maybe somebody somewhere is getting some use out of that. So, yeah, that would have been a good call, though.
And if it wasn't for, I don't know if it's another AT&T commercial or not, but the Boxy Boys with him and Kendrick Perkins, and I can't remember the other person. That's how I learned about the box suit. I was not aware of this.
Oh, yeah. I mean, all you got to do is just go back and look at the pictures over time because, the suit, as in a fashion piece, changes drastically over time. You can go from, peak lapels and shoulder pads, a lot of buttons, wide leg. It can get interesting. But I think we're in a place now where we're wearing pretty conservative suits.
They've gone differently, but we also now have no socks and tennis shirt. I don't know how we would label the shoe game on that.
You have the slipper type of deal now with the no socks. A person from my era might say capri pants, but I don't think that's politically correct to say. They wear shorter pants. I was pedal pushers, as my mother would say. That's the newest style. Some would say the Pee Wee Herman suit.
Okay. All right. That's good. Yeah. That's actually good. Yeah, I never actually thought about that. Well, that leads us into our most important things of the morning. Let's hit that little sounder.
Now on the early game. Let's kick off the show with the MITs. The most important things on the game.
I can't speak for Preston and I can't speak for Jen, but Colin Murray Boyles going from kind of unknown to now being the highest drafted player for South Carolina since 2006 when Ronaldo Bachman went 20th to the old New York Knicks. And also, Colin Murray Boyles, Preston, first player ever from the University of South Carolina to be invited to the green room. He will have a knowledge that nobody at the University of South Carolina has ever had.
Yeah, that's because when Ronaldo got drafted, everybody, including him, was surprised, I believe. There was not going to be drafted at that time. Yeah, we've been seeing this coming up. We've been seeing this happening. And I got to admit, I am surprised. It's still, I keep reading every list. He shows up in every list from very high to the mid, lower. And I'm like, this is going to happen.
It's going to happen, and he will be the fourth player drafted this century from the University of South Carolina. As I said, barring something crazy happening between now and tonight, he will be the highest-ranked player for South Carolina to be drafted this century, and that even dates back a long time ago. Now, here's something also interesting. I looked at this since 1970. Since 1970, he will be the seventh first-round pick. So in 55 years, he'll be the seventh first-round pick for the University of South Carolina.
In, like, all sport?
No. It's just in basketball.
In basketball.
Which I'm pretty sure Kansas, North Carolina, Duke, they all can eclipse that, not combined, in about the last 5 years, let alone the last 55 years.
Well, yeah, that might give you an insight into what Gamecock basketball's been since 1970. When you look at the amount
go back to 1975 on what that's been.
Yeah,
if you want to date it, I've got them 7 first-round picks. Let me give you a stat here. Did you know from 1971 to 1975, South Carolina produced right there 5 first-round picks?
All right, what was the correlation of winning during that time?
Strong. That was the heavy Frank McGuire area. 1971, John Roach went 14th to the Suns. In 1972, Tom Rikers went 8th to the Knicks. 1973, Kevin Joyce went 11th to the Warriors. 1974, Brian Winters went 12th to the Lakers. And 1975, Tom Boswell goes 17th to the Celtics.
Okay, so listen at that. Now, from 1975, because you just said 5 dudes, right?
Right.
Okay, so in that period, there were 5 dudes. And you said in total there are 7.
First-round picks.
Yes.
We went a little bit of a while.
So there was a little bit of a dearth of picks from that time to when the next pick was?
There was still people drafted. There were still people that were actually drafted during that period. Now, mind you, like in 1980, there was 9 rounds of the NBA draft. So this expanded out. But, yep, from 1975 all the way through 2006,
Right.
there was a gap of first-round picks.
That's what my math was telling me. I was trying to put that together, and that seems like. And again, when Ronaldo was picked, everybody was like, "Huh, okay, this is interesting."
Nope.
And then from 2006 to when? Now
Well, tonight. It depends. It depends.
Okay.
How do we claim transfers? Because if we want to claim transfers, technically, we will.
No.
Devin Carter last year goes 13th to the Kings.
Now they got to get drafted from South Carolina.
Okay, all right.
We can claim them in. Now,
Okay.
if they transferred into us and they got drafted, it's cool. But if the school they got drafted from, can't claim them.
Yep. So Devin Carter, former Gamecock, obviously drafted in the first-round pick, but it'll be the highest. It's likely to be the highest drafted South Carolina player since, well, again, you got to go way back on this here. The highest drafted player for the University of South Carolina going all. If he goes, again, it's got to be higher than 20, which we assume. It's got to be higher, but he will be the highest drafted player for the University of South Carolina since 1975. I guess actually you go back further. If he's 17 is Tom Boswell, as I just said. If he's lower than 12, it would be 74. If he's lower than 11, 1973.
One of my favorite games, again, when you hear what sounds older, 1975 or 50 years ago? Which one sounds
50.
It's
50 years ago.
I just do the math because I think about how old my brother is, and I'm like, yeah, wow, that's my big brother's 53 years old. That's crazy. Yeah, I get it. So, yes, in 50 years, we haven't had anybody drafted that high. It's a long time.
It should be a monumental moment, and we'll talk a lot about that. I give you a lot of the draft mock projections for him. There's one particular projection, Preston, that stands out, and I'll give that to you in the next.
I think segment. I know what you want it is, and I'm teetering, and I'm ready. If this happens, load up the bandwagon for your boy. Load up the bandwagon.
Making a switch, huh?
Load up the bandwagon for your boy if this happens.
Making a switch. So we will get full on into that. Also yesterday, and I'm kind of interested to have this discussion a little bit in here, the public view. Whit Merrifield retires. Very good career. Incredible player for the University of South Carolina. But on those teams, where do we rank him? Like, where do we rank him? He's got a specific hit that we will discuss. We will hear the audio from. But for such a good player, was he even in the top 5 of some of those teams?
As I saw the question posed, I'm looking at it, and I'm like, I don't know.
We'll get into that. Whit Merrifield ends a great career yesterday. A lot of great articles on him posted, and you can go and check those out. We'll get more into Whit Merrifield. And then one other thing from yesterday, Preston, the Braves need to try and see if they can schedule more series against the Mets. Can we kick the Marlins? Can't take 2 of 3 from the Marlins, but just dominating the Mets.
We don't want the Rockies. We don't want the Marlins. We want the Mets. Give us the Mets. Yeah, they have been in dominating fashion. Almost when I saw them win again, I was like, didn't we just do this? And yes, they did.
5-0 against the Mets this year, 28-10 against the Mets over the last 38, and a plus 85 run differential in those 38 games. Give me all the Mets. Just keep the Mets coming. And 2 more games set for today and tomorrow.
Now, that bodes well if we can just get to a point where we're behind them in the standings. So
still 8 back.
Could be a thing.
Still 8 back, but working our way up the standings. So a lot of that happening today. Again, we'll get a lot into Colin Murray Boyles. As a person who did basketball recruiting, we'll discuss some of this from kind of an unknown to a complete known. But as you brought up, Preston brings it up before the show. He said, well, I couldn't find many highlights. What do we remember about Colin Murray Boyles here?
I think that's probably the key question as you look at it, because I was scouring the internet and I remember things that he did, and he was very good when he was here. But I was looking for and Colin Murray Boyles with the it wasn't a lot.
Lacking some highlights, huh?
It wasn't there, and he was very good, and I remember him here. Key part of our run to the championship. to the tournament. But the highlights weren't really
I didn't
there.
think about this until you just brought up highlights. Over under on career Colin Murray Boyles dunks.
Well,
10.5.
he was part of that. He was part of that. If Blake Griffin was part of Lob City, what was that? What was that team 2 years ago? They were the under the rim boys or something like that. What did they do?
I was thinking, fundamental 2-hand layups, pump fakes, everything.
Whatever the opposite of Lob City was, that team was.
We'll get into a lot of that also this morning. Aaron Rodgers potentially ending one more year of our national nightmare of Aaron Rodgers. Preston.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe when I see it.
Okay. All right, we'll get
when I see it.
Get into that a little bit, and Steve Spurrier doing what Steve Spurrier does best, and making some quotes. He just can't help it that he wants to take down a Manning. Just multiple generations of Manning takedowns.
Yeah, that's when we know we're gonna check and see. Like if the old ball coach just throws out an old cliche one day, then we're gonna have to start checking his vitals.
Okay, yeah.
But as long as he's still sharp right here, we're good.
So we'll get into a lot of that. Again, as I said, we will discuss Colin Murray-Boyles, kind of his rise to fame. I'll give you these draft projections. Preston will weigh in, I think, on one particular that he's probably seen that stands out amongst the best of them. So we'll talk about that when we come back. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for the Mortgage Guru, Jacob Crowder and First Palmetto Bank. Jacob, definitely the mortgage guru in this market. He helped me just about 5 years ago, almost today, I think later on this week, purchase that new home out on Lake Murray. And guess what? He can do the exact same thing for you. But it all starts with a phone call to see what the interest rates are, see what the down payment could be, to see how much money you have to spend. 803-719-1005. You can also email Jacob at the letter J, Crowder, CROWDER at firstpalmetto.com. Houses are flying off the market right now. There's no better time to contact Jacob Crowder with First Palmetto Bank, who is locally owned and operated right here in the Midlands, and that means Jacob has local decision makers at his disposal for quick and precise underwriting. So call today and speak with the Mortgage Guru, 803-719-1005. Tell him Bill Gunner sent you.
All moving along pretty well this morning. Hope your commute is a good one today. We're looking for a high of 100. Heat index potential could be up to 108. Could also see some strong storms later this afternoon and into this evening, so we'll be mindful of that. 95 tomorrow with afternoon or evening storms possible. 94 on Friday, and looking to Saturday. It's really throughout the weekend looking to be about 94. And chances for afternoon or evening thunderstorms again on Saturday. Right now, though, it's starting off the morning warm. It's already 80 on 107.5 The Game.
.618 on a Wednesday morning. Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, Bill Gunner here as we get you up and get you going, ready for the back half of the week, ready to close out the month of June. And as you heard Jen just say there with the weather report, trying to stay safe this afternoon. I saw Chris Jackson put out there yesterday. Actually, I think it was somebody else. He retweeted it or reposted it, but could be really bad this afternoon. When I see the word microblast in terms of the weather, I kind of go, uh-oh. Get everything inside and off of the porch. You'd never know.
Microburst or blast?
Is it burst or blast?
A microburst is one of the, it kind of is like a tornado, but whatever.
Comes straight
so I
down,
thought,
yeah.
oh my gosh, what is blast? Because I thought, is that a new term?
I think that's a more extreme one, I believe.
But there you go. See? Meteorologist Bill Gunter.
Yeah, I just saw him put it out and went, oh boy, this afternoon could be a lot of fun.
Boy, he knows his stuff. If you are looking for a good follow on for meteorology, he knows what he's talking about.
So
and we're just casually breezing over 105 heat index.
Exactly.
Like
that's the problem. Yeah, like the microburst could be the problem. Yeah, it's warm, and I know
summer's here.
Jen, as you've got puppy dogs, I know you'll be an advocate for make sure they've got water and don't let them go walking on the pavement in the afternoon.
Yeah, and we have one dingling on the porch or on the back deck, which it's in shade by the afternoon, but she's just sitting up, getting in a human chair. Oh yeah, I'm just hanging out. I'm like, would you get inside, you goofball? It makes me nervous.
Kids are great and kids are funny, and my daughter yesterday became worried about a squirrel that was laying on a branch at the house. And she's taking a bowl of water outside to give the squirrel. And my daughter's 15. This isn't like a 9-year-old that looked up and was like, we need to save the squirrel. She put a bowl of water and then stood there the squirrel would come out of the tree.
And know to go to the bowl of water.
She became very concerned. I was like, they're not trained like dogs. They don't know, I've got a bowl of water here. Let me go have at it. So
maybe if it would have been the campus squirrels, they might have got the water. The campus squirrels. The city squirrels, no. They're like, oh, no, thank you.
And actually, the campus squirrels probably were like, is that from the tap?
Yeah, for sure.
Where's the bottle?
Yeah, bottled water only.
Yeah.
So, be protective of the animals this afternoon. Be protective of yourself. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. December 1st, 2003, Preston Thorne. I think that's, December 1st, 2003. South Carolina plays George Washington. Colin Murray Boyles makes his debut for the University of South Carolina. 4 minutes, 2 points, 1 of 2 from the field.
Mm-hmm.
Fast forward to June 25th, 2025. He is going to very likely be a lottery pick. The fact that he was invited very late indicates that people have said, somebody has said, we're taking this guy. Let's make sure he's here to give Adam Silver the big bro hug, to look good in his suit, to promote this to our city, whoever is taking him.
Mm-hmm. And you ask me what happened between 4 points against George Washington to lottery pick?
Well, we know he had mono, which is why his debut didn't come until December. But let me give you the numbers. Clemson, South Carolina blows that game. They had the lead up at Little John. But that game, 17 minutes, 5 points. East Carolina on a Saturday after that, 9 minutes, 3 points. Charleston Southern, 9 minutes, 7 points. And then Winthrop, 10 minutes, 0 points. That was his kind of 5-game debut for the University of South Carolina.
Right, and as you said, it was a little bit slower because he was coming off of mono. He's getting himself together. Everybody had heard that he was coming into the season, But again, when you saw him playing out there, you're like, okay, he's going to be a nice piece to this team, not the lottery pick. That's what it's going to happen.
Yeah, you're like, 4-year guy with this guy. We got a nice foundational piece.
Yeah, and that's not going to happen. And as we saw this building, everybody kept talking, and I guess Lamont was talking. I don't know what the staff was talking. Everybody was talking about, well, we got to make sure we hold out a spot for if he comes back next year. And I kept saying, guys, are y'all reading these reports? Because these reports say first round. And
they were still in the AOL dial-up down there.
They might have been still going back to what they were – I don't know what they were seeing, but the reports were saying first round. And I was very clear in saying, if this guy is reported to go first round, he will not be playing for South Carolina again. And kudos to him. Congratulations. But it does seem like if we were not – this is what the NBA draft is. The NBA draft has become a bunch of dudes that you may or may not know unless you're really deep in the weeds. I'd imagine the rest of the nation is going to see this guy get picked from the last place team in the SEC and say, huh? Who?
Yeah.
What? Who's that? So there's going to be a fan base now there's going to be some analytic dork on the fan base like, no, I'm telling you, he has the highest BPA rate and he's awesome at defense. And there's going to be the casual fans that be like, we did what? Why do we pick this guy? And that's sort of the range. We know him because he's here, and we're very happy for him. But I would imagine the rest of the country is very intrigued by this.
I'll tell you, and just because I follow basketball probably a little bit closer, in 2020, there was this kid from Iowa State who was drafted in the first round with the 12th overall pick. Now, Iowa State's a pretty good basketball program in general, but still when you see a guy go from Iowa State, you're like, who? What did he do? That dude unfortunately is now out for a year and maybe a little bit more. Tyrese Halliburton, who was drafted back then by the Sacramento Kings. And I feel like that's the same kind of thing where people are like, who'd you draft?
Yeah.
Who'd you take? 12th pick? This guy? Okay. Well, obviously we saw what he did there in the playoffs and what he had made a run on through the regular season. But I think it's going to be very similar to that, where people are he's going to get drafted by somebody. He's a very high IQ player. Obviously, we know that the fundamentals are there. The elbows out, rebound, very good defensive player, and I think it's going to be something similar to what we just talked about.
So when you see that, and also around here, he played here, he won a state championship here. This is calls for like local legend status,
right?
And it's not quite there. I don't know whether it's because he went away on mission to Utah. I don't know whether that's the case, but it just feel like this should be a bigger deal than it is because a local kid that played here, grew up here, is going to be drafted in the first round of the NBA draft.
Well, for a second, let's compare it to G.G. Jackson, who obviously reclassified, but as a junior was considered one of the top players in the country, top 5, top 3. And when he comes here, there's a lot of pomp, a lot of hullabaloo, a lot of celebration. And Gigi had a very up and down year in his first year with Lamont Paris. We know that there was the incident on the bench and some issues afterwards, but Gigi had a very, very solid first year. South Carolina wasn't very good, but then you go on to Gigi being drafted in the second round of the NBA draft. Colin Murray Boyles comes here and people are like, okay, local kid, got better out in Utah. Could be a nice piece down the road. Probably needs 1 year development, but maybe years 2 and 3 and 4 could be a really solid player. He burst on the scene. He was starting to play really well, but it was on on a Saturday, February the 10th, 31 points against Vanderbilt in a 75-60 victory. He was 14 of 17 from the field. Would make 3 free throws in that game. By the way, didn't shoot a three-pointer. But that was kind of his coming out party. The next game, South Carolina goes on a Wednesday night. South Carolina had been on a roll. Game got a lot of publicity. They're playing at Auburn. And if you remember, that went poorly. 101-61. Auburn blew them out of the building. But in that particular game, Colin Murray Boyles comes back with 19 points in that game. And then you go to the SEC tournament. South Carolina takes on Arkansas. And I don't know what it was about Arkansas and Colin Murray Boyles, but that usually brought out the absolute best in him. The SEC tournament, the Gamecocks in that game win 80-66. He scores 24 points on 11 of 15 shooting.
Yeah, and as the season went on, especially that freshman season, you started to see, oh, this is the guy. He's coming around. And then we were expecting a lot more this year. This year was obviously disappointing. But when you look at his particular numbers from this year, he played very well in very difficult circumstances because they were PU stinky. And he was able to play through that, keep his team competitive was because of him. And so that's probably a lot of the part of why he's going to be drafted so high. But, yeah, for this to be a kid that is local from Columbia, not even the state, but from Columbia, the fanfare is definitely not as much as I would think it should be.
No, and you're right. You look back again, I mentioned Arkansas this year in March, that strange game where South Carolina just blows Arkansas out, and he winning basket, didn't do anything of that nature. And you brought it up. You said, what highlights do we got? What is the signature Colin Murray Boyles moment?
Yeah, like I said, I think that's a difficult question. Maybe that's why that legacy won't be as strong as it should be. I mean, he had, I remember a couple of blocks that he hit. It's going to be like a couple of blocks that he had, a couple of nice driving dishes that he had, a couple of times he got to the hoop and ones.
Some good steals.
That doesn't quite make the and one mixtape
no.
that a lot of people like to see, but it does excite front offices, and that's what we're going to see.
Draft projections, mock draft projections. CBS Sports has him going, this is Cameron Salerno, has him going number 7 to the Pelicans. ESPN's mock draft has him going number 10 to the Suns. Adam Finkelstein and Kyle Boone have him going number 10 to the Suns. Gary Parrish has him going number 11 to the Trailblazers. CBS Sports, Matt Norlander has him going 16 to the Grizzlies, teaming up there with G.G. Jackson. CBS Sports, David Cobb, 17th to the Timberwolves. But the Ringers, Kyle Mann, has him going 15th to the OKC Thunder.
Listen, is there room on the bandwagon? Is there room? Because if I can, that's my entry in. If I can say, oh, man, well, Colin Murray Boyles plays for them. That's why I cheer for the best.
You have two Columbia. You do have two Midlands natives on that team as well. Dylan Jones from Keenan.
So that's going to be my entry onto the bandwagon. When they look for my ticket, I'm going to say, hey, man, I'm with Colin. I'm with Colin and Dylan. These are my guys. I'm from South Carolina. Welcome me into this new dynasty. And then I'm going to be an OKC fan. And when they win 4 championships out of next 6, I'm going to be like, I was there from the beginning. Yeah. Local guy. It's my team.
Yeah, they already had Dylan Jones. Now they got Colin Murray Boyles. That'd be kind of crazy, by the way, to have 2 kids from literally right here in Columbia on the same NBA team. 803-404-6100. When we come back, we'll jump over to some college football. Interesting comparison here on South Carolina and Clemson coming up from a projection by ESPN. We'll talk about that. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning. And, boy, we are rolling through summer, and you need to enjoy every single moment of it. You don't need to be worried about cleaning the home, keeping the carpets, the rugs, the tile, the upholstery all insanely clean. You just need to allow the cleaning pros. It's Zero Res Carpet and Air Duct Cleaning to take care of all of it. With their patented ZR water technology that does not leave behind a sticky, soapy residue or any nasty chemicals, you can trust their cleaning pros to get the job done in a safe and timely manner. So give them a phone call, 803-262-4020, and mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game, and get 15% off all cleaning services. That's right, everything. Carpets, air ducts, area rugs, and more. Just mention me, Bill Gunner, at 107.5 The Game to secure this deal. You can also book online, ZeroResColumbia.com, and make sure you ask about Zero Res's commercial cleaning as well. Zero Res, backwards and forwards, it's the right way to clean.
We do have a note that on I-77 southbound at Killian Road, there's an object on the roadway. So if you're heading into that area, just be mindful to make sure you are aware if there's anything still on the highway. And 100, that is what we're looking for today. Well, we're not really looking for it, but that's kind of what we're expecting. Could see a heat index anywhere from 105 to 108. Some afternoon or evening thunderstorms could potentially be heavy, so we'll be mindful of that. 95 for the high tomorrow with some afternoon storms. And Friday, a high of 94. Looking right now like not as much rain chances for then, but maybe a little more increase on 107.5 The Game.
.36 as we roll along on a Wednesday morning. Don't forget tomorrow, 12 to 3, the halftime show will be at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street. Go by for a chance to win Gamecock football tickets. So that'll be tomorrow. You can stop by the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street. Go on by for a chance to win Gamecock football tickets. That'll be tomorrow from 12 to 3. You can go and hang out there and check out everybody. 803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. So I noticed this, the 2026 NFL draft rankings the top 5. Matt Miller and Jordan Reed put out an article earlier this week. Couple things stand out to me. Let's start with the quarterbacks, Preston Thorne, and want your opinion on this. Because we're a South Carolina, basically a Gamecock show, are we not giving Cade Klubnik enough credit? Does he deserve more credit? Because I feel like he's a good quarterback. I wouldn't argue him being in the top 5. Now, this reminds you, this is draft rankings. So, as we'll get to in the next segment, Arch Manning, not draft eligible. I guess he is actually draft eligible, isn't he? But Arch Manning, not on this list. But with that being said, would you have Cade Klubnik as the number 1 quarterback going into the season in the country?
I take my cues from the people in the purple pants, and they're not excited about him.
Okay.
They like him. Obviously, they've had 2 generational quarterbacks
Very
previous
true.
to this, and I think that takes some of their vision. But when you talk to people that are Clemson fans, they're like, yeah, Cade's good. And maybe he's better than that, but when I listen to them, they're not as excited about their quarterback as we are about ours. And I think that might be why I'm not necessarily why I kind of continuously get surprised to see him on the list. Like you say, he's been good against everybody else. Hasn't been great against us when in any of the times that we've seen him. So maybe it's the combination of those 2 things. They're not excited about him, and he hasn't really torched us. So I just kind of shoulder shrug. I'm like, yeah, I see the talent there, but okay, show it to me some more, I guess.
I'm with you. Let's go through these real quick for the quarterbacks. Matt Miller ranks Klubnik number 1, Garrett Nussmeier number 2. Can't argue with that.
Sussmeier.
Something called Fernando Mendoza at 3. Can you name where Fernando Mendoza has come from?
Cannot.
Was at California last year, threw for over 3,000 yards, had 6 touchdowns, had 16 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. But maybe this is me being biased because I went, California? Huh? What? What are they doing? Oh, okay, sure. But he has since transferred to Indiana and is draft eligible this year. 6'5", 225. I guess now I'll tune in or catch the highlights of an Indiana game, which will tell me that he's great because, as I just said, the word highlights, that'll help me out.
Yeah, and they obviously won't be playing anybody either, so he should be able to run it up. I'll check that out.
This is where I think it would get a little controversial. Matt Miller, again, with ESPN, has Lenore Sellers at number 4 and Drew Allar at number 5.
Well, anything I read about Drew Allar is that I read right in the same article that say he can go anywhere from day 1 to day 3. And that's a huge variance. He can go from the first round to day 3, and that is a long way for a quarterback to go. So I'm curious to see how that plays out. Penn State is not known for having a wildly explosive offense. We'll see how that turns out.
Allar, 6'5", 240 pounds, basically not like Lenore Sellers, though, that can run. Jordan Reed has it flipped a little bit. Now, they all agree on their top five. There's no disagreement on the top five. Again, Miller's was Klubnik, Nussmeier, Mendoza, Sellers, and Alar. Jordan Reed goes with Klubnik at 1, Sellers at 2, Nussmeier at 3, Alar at 4, and Mendoza at 5.
Out of all of them, the most impressive one was obviously, to me, I've seen a lot of them, was Lenore's. Garrett Sussmeier, though I called him Sussmeier, he did play really well against us, and he made some throws that I thought were NFL-type quality throws. So I can see that happening. My question marks are Drew Alar and Fernando Mendoza. Fernando, because it just was not aware of his existence, even though they were in the ACC last year, I guess, right, Cal?
Yeah.
ACC. Yeah, even though they were the ACC powerhouse. And Drew Alar is just Penn State, so I don't know.
I will admit, when I saw this article, I had to look up Fernando Mendoza and figure out, because I was like, I'll buy it, but I need more. And then when I saw it was California, I was like, well, I'll just have to make a decision for myself. Jumping back to Clemson for a second, you go to wide receivers. I was shocked about this, really shocked. Again, this is Matt Miller and Jordan Reed's best draft-eligible player. So you're leaving a guy like Jeremiah Smith out from Ohio State. Number 1 on their list, number 1 on Matt Miller's list, Antonio Williams. Jordan Reed's has Antonio Williams at number 3. Again, I think knowing Antonio Williams, knowing Murphy Holloway, the background there and everything, again, I'm not trying to argue that Antonio Williams isn't good and doesn't deserve to be on the list. I was shocked to see him at number 1.
And again,
on Matt Miller's list.
Yeah, when you see this again, you say, all right, we know he's a local guy, very close to coming here, so the story goes. There was a lot of recruiting issues, recruiting battle, that I should say, that happened with that battle being he was coming to South Carolina until Clemson said, we want him, and then he said, oh, yeah, I'm going to Clemson, and that's sort of how that played out. But when I think about Antonio Williams, I think about him fumbling a punt for us to win the game 2 years ago. That's what I see when I think about him. So I rely on the folks in Clemson. So if there's anybody Clemson fans listening, appreciate you. But how do you feel about these guys? Because, yes, they are very highly rated, but I don't think – and maybe it's just because Clemson fans are spoiled, because Antonio's not new. He's not Sammy. He's not all this litany of dudes that they've had.
Higgins, yeah.
He's not Mike Williams. Unfortunately, we can go on and on and on. He's not those guys. And so maybe they just overlook hoping for the next one of those guys to come along, and maybe this is the best that they're going to have.
Yeah, again, I was actually surprised by that one. Number 1 for Matt Miller, number 3 for Jordan Reed. Go down the list a little bit more, and again, Preston, I don't know if I was shocked, but it made sense why I'm seeing Clemson ranked so highly. Again, this is in terms of draft eligible players. Edge rusher, number 1 on the list, T.J. Parker for Matt Miller. Jordan Reed has T.J. Parker at number 2. And you've talked about they've got some skills and some talent.
They have 6 dudes who are projected to be drafted in the first round. Will that happen? It won't. But if you're projected to be in the first round, barring any type of injury or a terrible season, you're going to be a solid NFL player. And so when they have those talents at these key positions, quarterback, edge, D-tackle, they look to be formidable.
And you mentioned D-tackle. Peter Woods listed on both Matt Miller and Jordan Reed's top 5 at number 1 at defensive tackle. So, yeah, it tells you Clemson definitely loaded there for that group. Skip down South Carolina. Well, they got one more guy on here, but it seems maybe slightly controversial here because when you get to number 1, they listed Jalen Kilgore as a safety. I was a little called that, but Jordan Reed has him as the 4th best draft eligible prospect at the safety position. Matt Miller doesn't have him in there at all.
This is clear to me what happened. Scouts turn on the tape, looking to see Nick, and they see this other dude popping up, making a bunch of plays. And everybody says, who's that? We were looking for him, and we see him. Let's figure out what's going on with this guy. The question is going to be what we figured out is going to be, is he going to play safety or is he going to play that nickel type position? And we haven't found that out yet. But yes, he's somebody who is projected to be very, very highly draftable, and we have to see how he comes through in a full season of holding down the secondary by himself.
803-404-6100. We'll come back and we'll discuss a guy who is actually draft eligible. Arch Manning. I didn't realize it is his 3rd year. I thought so, but it is his 3rd year. He wasn't on either list, and one former prominent head football coach questions just how good is he? We'll discuss it when we come back. You're listening to The Early Game.
Hey, Columbia, are you looking for the best gear to tackle your lawn? Well, Cato's Power Equipment has been family-owned and serving the Midlands since 1983. That's over 40 years. And third-generation owner Ben Cato provides top-notch service, great deals, and the mom-and-pop values that you love. Ben is determined to raise the standard of sales, service, and retail. At Cato's, they are proud to offer a wide selection of new and pre-owned mowers, tractors, and more. So if you're ready to invest in something new, the friendly team is there to make the process easy, help you choose the right equipment, find financing options, and keep your gear running strong with expert service and parts. Whether you're a weekend warrior or a seasoned landscaping pro, Cato's has you covered. They have a huge selection of new and pre-owned mowers, powerful tractors, and all the gear that you need. So swing by Cato's Power Equipment or call them at 803-254-3711. That's Cato's Power Equipment at 803-254-3711.
I think most people are picking Texas to win the SEC football.
Most
correct?
people are. I think that
And,
is going to be the consensus preseason pick.
They've got Arch Manning already winning the Heisman, too. Yep. And my question is, if he was this good, how come they let Quinn Ewers play all the time last year?
Even though he was hurt a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's still.
And he was a 7th-round pick.
Yes, exactly.
And Arch is going.
And now they're saying Arch is going to be the first pick. Yeah. I'm like, yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, well, you only have to ask the coach Sark. Yeah, how come you played that one instead of this one? Hopefully he'll say because we thought he was better in that one.
Yeah.
But isn't that why you play one guy and not the other? Unless it's a discipline, and there was no discipline or anything.
You were never hesitant about pulling guys.
Putting the guy best. One guy struggling, give the other guy a chance.
The old ball coach. Miss those days, but it does sound a little bit more like talking to Grandpa when listening to that. Back in my day, they should have done this.
Also, the Quinn Ewers.
Yeah.
Just got a slight bit off. But sound reasoning?
Well, one thing, I don't know if Spurrier just saw this somewhere again. We just read a list. This will be Arch Manning's 3rd year. Much like he's very similar to Lenore Sellers, with the exception that last year Lenore Sellers started. Arch sat behind Quinn Ewers. And so with that in mind, there is a difference. But we just read off that Matt Miller, Jordan Reed list. No Arch Manning on that. He is technically draft eligible.
Well, there seems to be a difference of opinion because everybody's picking Texas to be, as the ball coach noted, to be the champions of the SEC. However, many people are not mentioning Arch as one of the top quarterbacks, and it seems as if that thing has to happen in order for that success to happen. And I kind of asked the same question because Quinn was solid. Everybody wanted Arch to play. There was every reason for him to play, and he never did. When he did, especially against Georgia, he looked tremendously overwhelmed. He had some flashes last year, a couple of runs that were really nice, made a few throws, but overall they felt like their best opportunity to win was with Quinn Ewers, and as the head ball coach astutely pointed out, a 7th-round pick in the NFL.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a loyalty thing. I don't know if it was a loyalty thing for Quinn Ewers and what he had done. I don't know if it was that they believed Quinn was better than Arch Manning. Arch made 2 starts last year, one against Louisiana Monroe, 51-3. They didn't need him out there for that, but still 15-29 in that ball game. I don't know where you would rank. Mississippi State was bad in the league, but at least it was an SEC team. He was 26-31 for 325 yards and 2 touchdowns in that game. It is kind of one of those things to me, the name is the buildup. In terms of picking them to win the SEC, we think at Alabama it's going to be Ty Simpson. We think at Georgia it's going to be Gunnar Stockton, more than likely. LSU, who will be the 4th team in that mix, has got the proven quarterback in Garrett Nussmeier. If you want to throw South Carolina just in there to discuss it, that's fine with Lenore Sellers. But then you're kind of looking at it going, well, Sellers, Nussmeier, and Manning, probably in that order, are the most experienced of the quarterbacks, I guess, when you would look at who's coming back in this league that has done it. Ooh. And again, Manning, the only reason I throw him in there is because he did at least have 2 starts. I think Gunnar Stockton got what? Did he get 1? Am I right on that? He got 1 start against Notre Dame in the bowl game.
Mm-hmm.
And you're right, he didn't look great, but that was his first start, big game there. So I'm with you. Texas is loaded, but Manning would still be what? Fifth on that list of experienced quarterbacks coming back?
You left out one quarterback.
DJ Lagway?
Diego Pavia.
Oh, yeah, I forgot. How do you forget about Diego Pavia? Throw Vanderbilt in the potentials for SEC championship while we're doing this. Hour 2 on the way. Get back into some NBA draft talk and more. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions, where they're not just in the business of maintaining your pool, they are in the business of maintaining your lifestyle. That's right, because let's put it this way. That pool, it's not usable 12 months a year. You might, during the off months, you might actually use it for grilling out. You might use it to just host a little party. That doesn't mean everybody's jumping in the pool, but it is part of your lifestyle. And with Corley Pool Solutions, they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. So that means keeping your pool sparkling, nice and clean, not with algae in it or with pollen during the spring. It means keeping it looking great. And at Corley Pool Solutions, they do it all with flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. So give them a phone call, 803-445-8109, and line up your maintenance today. Again, it's 803-445-8109. Call Corley Pool Solutions today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
Traffic-wise, few things to be mindful of. I-77 southbound at Killian Road, a report of an object on the highway. Also, I-126 eastbound after Greystone Boulevard, hearing that as well. And boy, it's going to be warm. First week of summer is delivering 100 today. Heat index anywhere from like 105 to 108. And potentially heavy thunderstorms later this afternoon. Tomorrow, high of 95 with some afternoon or evening storms possible. Friday, some clouds and 94, and going to kind of stay around 94 for the remainder of the weekend. But we do have a warm start to your day. It is currently 80 at 107.5 The Game.
Seven a.m. on a Wednesday morning, June the 25th. Hope you are doing well, enjoying the summer. We are heading towards, at least here on Lake Murray, 4th of July kind of weekend. If you don't know what I'm talking about, they're doing the fireworks. They always do the fireworks on Lake Murray the Saturday before the 4th of July. 4th of July falls on a Friday next week. Therefore, you get the point that the fireworks on Lake Murray, the 4th of July celebration, will be this coming Saturday night, Preston. And then next week, 4th of July. And, boy, after that 4th of July, it starts heating up there for college football season.
It's when it starts to roll downhill for sure. Yeah, this is coming into the where peaks going to quickly. The roller coaster is going up. It's about to start going down.
We'll do the 4th of July, and then we'll have 1 week until SEC Media Days. That'll be followed. Actually, during SEC Media Days, Atlanta is going to be the hub of kind of the sports world. You have SEC Media Days, and you'll have the All-Star break taking place, and that should be a lot of fun. And like you said, we'll come back from that, have a week, and then we'll have the Shane Beamer golf tournament. I believe it is July 30th. I think that's right, not the 31st, but I think it's July 30th. And at that point, we will get set for preseason camp. A lot of people, especially as Jen has mentioned with the weather today, would never call August fall camp.
Yeah, not with 105 on the dial. Yeah, that's not fall.
So we are coming up on that. But tonight, celebration for the university. It should be for the university. Kentucky Joe weighs in, and Preston, I'll get your thoughts on this. Says local kid Colin Murray Boyles getting drafted should be a big deal. USC should have him all the draft, and I will admit there have been mistakes. I'll just call them mistakes along the way promoting the University of South Carolina basketball program. This is a great opportunity here in the Midlands, maybe here in the state, to promote, hey, 2 of the last 3 years, we've had a guy drafted, and if you really want to promote it here in the Midlands, hey, we had a guy from right here at Ridgeview, and we had a guy from right here at AC Flora getting drafted and will be in the NBA.
Yeah, I mean, when you really niche it down, it's not that he was drafted, not that the kid came from South Carolina, not that he was from the state of South Carolina. These two were from Columbia, within city limit, Richland County, right here. Yes, I agree with Kentucky Joe. This should be a huge deal. It should be promoted. It should be socials everywhere. We should be documenting the process all the way up through this. We should be seeing them in the green room. We should be seeing what suit he picks out. And everywhere that we're following these athletes, TikTok, X, wherever, this should be a thing because this is a huge thing for the program. Also, when you're building up what they're trying to say, this is another feather in the cap for Lamont Paris because he's coached 2 very high-level athletes, and it's something that he can lay claim to.
Speaking of picking out suits, Colin Murray Boyles is prepared. This is which generation is this? The millennial? What are we?
Colin Murray Boyles would be part of Generation Z.
Okay, all right. So this is what Gen Z does. They don't just pick one suit and roll with it. Here's Colin Murray Boyles talking about his dress attire for tonight.
You're the only one to come in a full suit. Why?
Yeah, you look great.
I got a lot of suits. Might as well show them up.
Crazy face, game face. Yeah, do that. Hold the ball here.
A lot of suits, Preston Thorne. How many suits did you own at? I believe he's 20 years. Might be 21. I have to go back and look at his actual birthday.
At 20, I owned specifically one, and it wasn't even a suit. It was a blazer and some gray slacks. I did not even own a suit at 20. But that particular picture, Colin had on a nice gray suit, white undershirt, open collar. He looked very good. Look very good. I'm looking forward to seeing what he does tonight. Don't do anything crazy. Stick with the basics so you can remember it for a long time.
Yeah, I was trying to – it doesn't translate to radio because you can't see the visuals. But last night as I was looking for some audio to see if we had like a podcast of people trying to rank suits, there was one, but you had to actually see – like, for example, because I know a lot of y'all probably don't know who this guy is or where he played at. Not even 100% sure I know where he's at now in the NBA. But what Grady Dix wore, I believe it was last year.
I do remember.
Yeah, and so if we'd have played the audio, you'd have heard them talking about what he wore. You'd have also heard there was another clip that we'd have had that was players judging suits from the year. But you have to visually go and look at it to understand what he wore. I believe that was last year.
Yeah, well, that's the thing about being a basketball guy is that you're gonna have to get that from a tailor because he's 6'6". You're not getting that off the rack anywhere. So you're going to have to get that from a tailor. You're going to have to get it specially designed. And the problem is when you go get a custom suit, they give you too many options. And so when they give you all these options of what you can do with your suit, you end up doing something really stupid. And then you look back on it, it's like, well, why did I do that? It's just because you had the option. So we'll see. We'll see how they let it play out tonight.
Yeah, if you haven't, go Google what Grady Dick's wore. I believe it was just Grady Dick, actually, but he played at Kansas. Go Google what he wore in the 2023 draft, and 803-404-6100. Send in your grade of what he wore for the 2023 draft. He was picked 13th overall. Yeah, they can get a little out of hand with what they wear, which brings me to another question. Who wears it better, Preston? The NBA players or the NFL players?
Well, here's the thing. NBA players have better bodies for suits.
Okay, all right.
Tall, slender, the clothes hang on them a little better. NFL bodies, it's tough to. Some of those might be a little bit difficult
if
to
you're
work
the big
around.
hefty lineman, it doesn't quite translate as well.
Don't quite work as well. The NBA guys tend to be taller, more slender. The clothes drape off of them a little bit better, so they have the natural built-in advantage as far as how this going to look. As long as they don't do something like Grady Dixon.
You saw, yeah,
could be an issue.
Was if you can go and Google it and see for yourself. 803-404-6100. The other part tonight, Cooper Flagg. Did you see that? I don't know if you saw this a couple weeks ago. Everybody knows this, and I don't know why the NBA. I don't know what like the people at the NBA, PR people get upset about. As soon as we saw, I mean, we'd known since what? Basically November, definitely in December, for certain in April that Cooper Flagg was going to be the number 1 draft pick, and the Dallas Mavericks put accidentally, from what they've said, put out a graphic basically welcoming Cooper Flagg on. They put it out on X, put it out welcoming Cooper Flagg to Dallas, and the NBA was like, "What are you doing? There's going to be suspense for the." I hope the Mavericks within 5 seconds have the pick in tonight.
Yeah, they're trying to build up the suspense when everybody knows the foregone conclusion that is this is going to be the first pick. I get it from a TV perspective. You're trying to get everybody to tune in, but it's almost as if, all right, we're waiting to see pick number 2.
Yeah,
because there's not a lot of suspense around who will be number 1, and that will be Cooper Flagg.
803-404-6100. Coming up next, I started thinking about this, and I'm not sure. I think because of the hype, I'm pretty excited to see Cooper Flagg in the NBA. I'm also pretty excited because he's going to a team that's going to be relevant next year. He's not going to Charlotte. He's not going to somewhere that is going to be completely irrelevant and we will never see them play. He's going to the Dallas Mavericks. They are re-signing Kyrie Irving. They've made a few other moves here in the offseason. Like, he's going to an organization that is basically might be one dude away from winning an NBA championship and challenging the Thunder. But it got me thinking, all right, who are three? I went with 3, but who are a few other players where you were excited to see their professional? I don't care if it's Major League Baseball, NFL, or NBA. And I went with 3. I went with 1 in each group. Preston's got a couple. We'll give you that. 803-404-6100. If you want to weigh in this morning, who is 2 or 3 professional athletes, regardless of their college career, that you wanted to see make their professional debut? I got one that'll correlate with Jen, and I'll see what Jen's reaction is to it. I got one that is NFL related that actually kind of went exactly how I expected.
Okay.
And then I've got another one in the NBA that I think everybody will agree with. 803-404-6100. Send those in to us. We'll get to those, and we'll talk about professional debuts. Guys that you were, or maybe women, that you were excited to see make their debut professionally, and we'll talk about a little bit about Cooper Flagg. You're listening to Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Old Tommy Meat Market, where, let me tell you, the food, absolutely delicious. Already heading over there today in Lexington to check out what they have for, again, this coming weekend celebration of the 4th of July on Lake Murray, and I encourage you to do so as well. Maybe you don't need to head to the Lexington store. You can go to the South Congaree location or the St. Andrews Road and Irmo location, where, again, the quality selection is an absolute cut above the rest. Now, if you visit the Lexington store, one thing you can purchase there is some of those great Traeger smokers, or maybe you just need Traeger pellets for your current smoker. The Lexington headquarters is your Traeger headquarters. That's right. You can go check out that great line of Traeger smokers, where this weekend I actually plan to smoke a whole chicken. Maybe you want to do something a little different, but you will only learn about it if you go visit the Old Tommy Meat Market location in Lexington. Again, you can also stop by St. Andrews Road in Irmo or the South Congaree store. Either way, stop by Old Tommy Meat Market. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
No accidents to report at this time. Hope it's a good Wednesday morning for you. And we are looking for another hot one, 100 today. That heat index could be anywhere, 105, 108, somewhere in there. Does it really matter at that point? Let's just be honest. We're looking for some severe thunderstorms possible later this afternoon. And again, just going to want to be careful today in many respects. 95 tomorrow with some afternoon storms possible. 94 on Friday. It's currently 80 to start your morning on 107.5 The Game.
7:16 on a Wednesday morning. Jen Jensen, Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner. The early game rolling along. Reminds you, the craft beer card now just $59. That's a savings of up around $300. Go to 1075thegame.com, click on Sweet Deals, and you can purchase your craft beer card today. Again, just $59, and that's a savings around $300. So, again, go to 1075thegame.com and click on Sweet Deals. Purchase your 2025 craft beer card today. Couple texts coming in. Richard's got it all figured out. I like this. Richard's got it all figured out here on who was the players that he was most excited to see. Now, I said professional debut, but he goes Sheryl Swoops for the WNBA, Bryce Harper for Major League Baseball, LeBron James, NBA, and then for college football, he went Derek Watson and Chris Leak. And I remember this one because I remember just the hype around Felipe Lopez at St. John's back in the day for men's basketball.
That's a good list. Good list. Yes, definitely remember. That's a very solid list.
Let's see here. Logan weighs in this morning and says Lamar Jackson, Paul Skeens, Victor Wembanyama.
Yeah. Two of mine that I have on my list.
Okay. Luke weighs in as a Panthers fan. Cam Newton's NFL debut was a must-watch for me.
Yeah. That's another solid one.
JB this year goes with Spencer Rattler's pro debut. Went about as I expect is what he says.
Not average.
David weighs in and says it was Austin Riley in Major League Baseball. And NFL, it was Jadeveon Clowney. Hugh goes with JD in football. Our Miami guy weighs in with Sean Taylor, Bryce Harper, and Sid Crosby.
Very good one. Sid Crosby still playing? Still in the league?
I think so.
You know those hockey guys, they get up to those 20-plus years. I remember I checked a couple years ago. I was like, Yami Yaga still playing? What's going on here?
803-404-6100. Let's go out to the phone lines. Ray wants to weigh in on players he looked forward to seeing make their professional debut. How you doing, Ray?
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm going to tell you, I got a few years on a lot of people, but this is somebody everybody knows of because they've seen documentaries and heard the stories. But I'll tell you, I was so looking forward to Len Bias's debut with the Celtics. I really think, and Red Auerbach even said that this kid's going to bring us 3 or 4 titles. And I really believe that. I mean, I believe he was right up there with Jordan, guys. I mean, he was that gifted and that talented. And he was one of those players. His game would have been even better in NBA. I mean, he was like 6'8", had length. I mean, he could just do everything. He was unbelievable. But saying that much, but I wish Colin Murray Bowles all the luck. I mean, that game he had this past year against Arkansas at home, it's one of the better performances I've seen in a long time. So I wish him nothing but the best. And I know I always jump around here. And as far as Lenorse goes, I think Lenorse will be a first round because with the NFL, it's not just stats, it's more about projection. And that kid is going to project awfully well with his strength, his height, and all that stuff. So I look forward to him going really high. But thanks for letting me put that in there. But Len Bias, I think, was just – I mean, he was phenomenal. What happened? I mean, I just cried my eyes out when all that happened. But anyway, just want to throw that in there, guys.
Appreciate it. Now, Len Bias, obviously, during our time, but very early in our ages of getting into sports.
Yeah, there was always the myth, not the myth making and the legend behind what happened with Len Bias. And I would encourage everybody to watch the documentary. I was just looking it up. A documentary, actual documentary about Len, the story behind it, the fallout, because there was a lot of fallout from this particular story, whether it was national implications. You know, we grew up with the war on drugs and all of that type of stuff. So that was all part of this story, and you could directly point to Len Bias's unfortunate events for that. So yes, Without Bias, a documentary,
a true documentary
about that. Yes, an actual documentary.
All right. Who you got? Who you going with?
So I would go with NBA.
Okay.
If I go with NBA looking at the dudes that I was looking forward to seeing I wanted to see first Wemby. Okay. I wanted to see, I'm just going backwards. Wemby, because what do you mean? He's 7'7", French, and shoots 3-pointers. I never seen this before. I want to check that out. So Wemby, I wanted to see. Zion.
Yep.
I wanted to see Zion, man. What do you mean? He's from South Carolina. He's a tank. He blew out his shoe. What's going on with this guy? Hasn't gone well, I think. We're on a very pivotal time with Zion. And then number one is LeBron. As far as just seeing who is this person who's supposed to be the chosen one. He's supposed to be the guy. And, you know, he goes to Cleveland and he ends up looking like he's going to be what he ends up being.
Okay.
Those are my three. It's just the NBA. And then most recently, if we was just to switch over to the W, I mean, obviously Caitlin. We wanted to see what Caitlin looked like.
So if I was okay, I can go NBA as well if we start there. LeBron would be number one. I remember that was you and I were both, I think, like juniors in high school, and so we had been hearing about this. I had been hearing about this guy for years, just like, since he was like 13. So he was a player that I grew up watching, and it was almost like he can't be this good. I remember they were showing, was it whatever his high school was. I can't think of his high school off the top of my head, but they were showing his high school games, and you're just like, this guy can't be that good. And lo and behold, he was. Number 2 on that list, and I wasn't hate watching, but I felt like Kobe controlled the NBA with the way the Hornets drafted him, and he's like, I'm not playing for y'all. No. And they made him trade. They basically made him trade out to L.A. for Vlade Divac and whoever else, unremembered names on that list. But Kobe was number 2 because, again, as I was playing basketball, and I'll never forget being with Lexington, being at Presbyterian team camp as a player and watching the night Kobe got drafted and just like sitting around a bunch of people, and they were like, this is going to be the greatest player in the history of the NBA. It was kind of the same thing with LeBron. And I was like, okay, I want to see that. And then, this year, okay, this freak human being is shooting running knee up 3-pointers.
Yeah, right. Running 3-pointers.
Running 3-pointer. That would be the 3 I would go with.
Yeah, I definitely.
And Zion is actually going to be on my overall list. But if we were just doing that, Zion would be number 4 on that.
Yeah, and just to go back to the Kobe, I had to check it just to remember. Kobe's rookie year, remember he shoots the air ball in the playoffs?
Yeah.
And it's like, yeah, that's going to be Kobe.
Yeah.
Why would this rookie think like, no, give me the ball. I'm going to shoot this one. And it's like, yeah, that's who Kobe ended up being. So that definitely makes a lot of sense.
You got an NFL list?
Vic. Wanted to see what Vic was going to do, and Vic was what he was in college, and then he gets drafted to the Falcons, and then this dude bursts on the scene. He has his own sneaker. You playing with him in Madden. Vic was somebody that you wanted to see because you hadn't really necessarily seen something like that. So I think my number 1 for the NFL is Vic.
Okay, for the NFL, my number 1 was Johnny Manziel, Johnny Football.
Okay,
because it was just like, how is this going to work? Like, we saw everything he did at Texas A&M. I remember him being drafted. I remember the thought that he was going to go to Dallas, which I was pulling for on that particular night. And that was, we'll get to one of the guys. Clowney was obviously the number 1 pick that night, but it was Manziel that I was most interested to see because I'm just like, is this going to go boom? Is it going to go bust? Is the air just going to come out of the balloon? Like, I was so intrigued to see what Johnny Manziel would do in the NFL. And lo and behold, I think he did exactly what I thought he was going to do.
Yeah, it did not work. It did not work from the start, and that non-starter did not have a chance. And it's very interesting when you look back in, you see that they will draft who they want to draft. They ignored every single red flag that was on the scouting report. Nothing happened out of the ordinary. It's not as if this guy just got to the league and lost his mind with fame. It's like, no, this is who he was the whole time, but they wanted to draft him. And, so that was going to be something fascinating because even the football stuff, to get off the field, can he do all this running around? Does this style of play as a quarterback really work in the NFL? So there was a lot of reasons why that would be something to look forward to.
Clowney would be on that list for me. And then the third guy, we're still learning, but I was really fascinated to see the debut of Trevor Lawrence and what he would end up being there for Jacksonville. And it seems to be going in the wrong direction right now. Huge year for him.
Yeah, absolutely.
You got 3 for Major League Baseball?
No, I don't have 3, but the one is Bryce Harper.
Okay.
And I always bring up this conversation. I'm just fascinated with people who are supposed to be the person and they end up being that, and you live up to the unsurmountable hype that everybody places upon you, and you actually end up being that person. If we want to go way back, now we're talking. If you want to go way back, and this is why I think I have such an affinity for Larry Jones. Because I remember the whole Chipper thing, right? He's coming up through the minor leagues. He's playing third base. He tears his ACL. Is it going to work? He has to move out. I remember that whole, and that's probably one of the first plays. Probably Chipper and Alex Rodriguez, as far as MLB being the players that I remember with the hype coming through the minor leagues and how these guys, and both of them ended up being as good as they were advertised.
Number 1 on my list, number 1 overall on my list is a former Cubby, Mark Pryor. Yeah, Mark Pryor. Do you remember Mark Pryor? Mark Pryor is drafted out of Southern Cal in 2002. Is supposed to be this phenomenal guy. He pitches in 9 games in the minor leagues. Pitches in 9 games and gets called up and kind of lived up to what he was supposed to be, and then just dealt with injuries. Did you know where Mark Pryor is at right now?
No.
I was shocked to learn this when I was thinking of him last night.
No, is he still in the league?
He just won a major league championship, or excuse me, a World Series.
Okay. Is he still
as a coach?
Okay.
He is the pitching coach and went there rather quickly, by the way. He is the pitching coach of the world champion Los Angeles Dodgers. I read that in prep here and was pretty shocked. But Mark Pryor comes out. I didn't know this. I had followed his career because that's when South Carolina was really revving up under Ray Tanner. Couldn't get past Louisiana Lafayette. Couldn't get past Stanford in 2001. But it was Mark Pryor who was that guy for Southern Cal. Gets them to back-to-back World Series. I knew guys at the University of South Carolina like you did, and they knew who Mark Pryor was. And like, this guy is going to be the absolute best pitcher ever. And if I had to go, honestly, at number 2, it would be Kerry Wood. Kerry Wood was another one that, like, that's all they talked about was Kerry Wood. This guy's going to blow Major League Baseball away. He's going to dominate. And he played longer than Mark Pryor, but those two guys as pitchers were absolutely incredible that I was dying to see their debut.
Yeah, you think about in the earlier 90s, that is when he was there. And, I mean, at that point, wicked curveball, fast, had a lot of heat in his pitches and stuff like that. He was very good. So he ended up in the Padres for a while as far as front office type stuff. But he's had a really good career based around his pitching.
One other guy, and I would have never really known this, but this guy played for the Greensboro Hornets. They came to Columbia. I got his autograph on a baseball card. And if I hadn't done that and hadn't had people around me tell me who he was, Derek Jeter. And they're like, this is the guy.
Oh, wow.
I do remember Jeter.
This is the guy. Like, you got it. And so, then I was young because I think I was around 11 or 12. And so, like, it becomes a guy you follow. Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, okay, this guy. And so I would he was probably the first guy I ever, like, followed his career all the way up. Because you're 11, 12. I started collecting Derek Jeter cards, and he was obviously, but the Greensboro Hornets he played for, and they came to play I don't know if it was actually the Columbia Mets or the Bombers in '92. I don't know what it still was, but it was at old Capital City Stadium.
Might have still been Bombers at that point.
But that would be Mark Pryor. If I had to pick 3 that I was most interested in, Mark Pryor, Johnny Football, and actually the one I put on because he's an in-state kid, I followed his recruitment, was actually Zion Williamson. Wanted to see his career, like what he would do in the NBA, and we're still learning that now.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it doesn't seem like it's turning around for Zion right now. It hasn't been good on the court. When he's healthy, it's been fine, but he hasn't made the impact that we thought he was going to be. This guy was supposed to come here and change the game, and he hasn't done that.
803-404-6100. Yesterday, Whit Merrifield retired. Where does he rank on those South Carolina teams? He's a Gamecock legend, but was he even in the top 5 players of the teams that he played for? We'll ask you that and get into that. 803-404-6100. It is the early game.
Press here for our friends at Absolute Glass, the premier glass company of the Midlands, offering auto, home, and business glass repair. So if your glass is damaged, shattered, cracked, or broken, they can handle the job. If it's a cracked windshield, that's no problem. They'll come out to your location and replace it for you, usually for free, and they'll work directly with the insurance to take away the headache. That's right. They'll come out to wherever you are, school, home, work, it does not matter. Absolute Glass will come out and take care of the job for you. Now, if you're at home, you're looking to increase the value of your home, you can do that with new windows or mirrors, and Absolute Glass will take care of that for you too. windows, mirrors, shower enclosures. Say it all the time. If you can see through it, Ray and Marianne at Absolute Glass can do it. So check them out online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com. That's online at AbsoluteGlassInc.com.
Clemson Road at I-20, we have a report of an accident there. Also in Lexington, Old Cherokee, more so around Maxey Drive. There is an accident as well that definitely going to be impacting traffic flow this morning. And as far as your forecast goes, 100 is the high that we're looking for today with that heat index added on, about 105, 108, somewhere in there. Potentially heavy thunderstorms later this afternoon that we'll have to kind of be mindful of. 95 tomorrow with some afternoon storms, 94 on Friday. It's going to be partly cloudy on Friday and basically kind of 94 throughout the weekend. Starting off your morning at 80. It's 107.5, The Game.
Two balls, no strikes to Merrifield. last time through this part of the lineup, Klein did strike out Merrifield and Bradley Jr.
Line drive right field, base hit. South Carolina wins the College World Series.
One of the more iconic, historic, greatest plays ever, not just for South Carolina baseball, but in South Carolina athletic history, contributed to by Whit Merrifield, who retired yesterday, putting out stating that he just showed up and did his job every day. Says he wasn't talented enough to not put in the work.
Yeah, and I think that's pretty ironic when you look at where he ranked as far as the players were concerned, because there were the other players who were better than him on that roster. But he got into the minor league system. He grinded it out. He was in the minors for 6 years before he actually broke through. That is a testament to his strength and fortitude in and of itself. And then he just grinded to keep himself in the league. I love when you looked at him, utility man. You're a utility guy, you do everything. You do whatever they ask you, and you stay in all around, and had a very solid career.
So I thought about this yesterday. Like, where does Whit Merrifield rank in South Carolina baseball history? Where does Whit Merrifield rank on the 2010 team? Let me give you some names of that roster. For those of you, 2010 is a long time ago, as you pointed out.
Another good point.
2010 is a bit of a while back, and this was Merrifield's last year. But let me just give you some names, and you tell me where you would rank Whit Merrifield. Christian Walker. Jackie Bradley Jr.
Not above. Not above.
Michael Roth.
Not above.
Matt Price.
Not above.
Now, Matt Price was a freshman that year, and I'll just give you some other names just at that time in 2010. Jay Brown, who was a very good pitcher, if people remember. You also had Adrian Morales at third base. Those are kind of the guys I'd be like, where would we, Adam Matthews, Evan Marzilli, but where would have you ranked Whit Merrifield at that point in 2010 on that team? Do we go top three? Are you like, as you just said, well, I can't put him above Walker. Well, I can't put him above Roth. I can't put him above Price. It's an interesting. It's one of those things where you look back and you go, "Wow, that team was loaded."
Well, yeah.
15 years is hindsight, but yes,
they were loaded. They had a lot of talent on that team, and it goes to show you the difference between guys and they're talented in college, and then you get to the next level. All types of twists and turns can happen. Not necessarily the most talented people end up making it to the show for various reasons, but that just shows his strength and fortitude to make it through the minor league system like that. But also, when we put that era together, he was at the beginning of that era, because you go back and look at those
Very
teams.
true, yeah.
We still got a chance to hang out with Michael Roth for a couple more years, great years, right? We got a chance to hang out with JBJ for some great years. So he was at the beginning. We appreciate it, but man, we had some fun times after that, which we really, really noted those guys.
He a personal life thing here. Welcomed a baby girl in March of last year, and Preston, his kids, and again, he was drafted in 2010. He's been around the block a little bit. He is 36 years of age. As I'm getting older, you're starting to appreciate. I do appreciate guys like Aaron Rodgers who can still play the game. Tom Brady, the way he played it. These guys that play into their 36, though, as he just mentioned, if you're not the most talented and it requires your energy and focus and being, and I don't want to say dedicated, but 36 is up there in dog years.
Yeah, for sure. And in baseball years, it's a long time. And as he stated, he didn't have the luxury of having this talent just being able to just roll out to the field and go out there and play. He had to dedicate probably obsessively to making rosters every single year. And you can't split that, because there's no such thing as balance. You don't have life balance when you're a major league, when you're a professional athlete. It does not exist. That is a myth. If you want to be the greatest, or you want to maximize your potential, the idea of life balance is not going to be a thing. So when this comes along, you have to decide, and do I want this or do I want this? And he made his decision.
A couple people weighing in this morning on this. Let me pull this back up. Trey weighs in. He says, Whit is Hall of Very Good.
Ooh, I like it.
He is third on that list behind JBJ and Walker, and that's it from that 2010 team.
Hall of Very Good.
Hall of Very Good. Yeah, again, as I started looking through this last night, I started looking through this. I was like, man, you know how you look back at history and you yearn for those teams? Like, Christian Walker. Just remember the memories.
Let it wash over you.
And Witt was on that team. Again, Christian Walker in that particular year hit the huge home run at Coastal, so he was making a huge part of it. Michael Roth, and somebody weighed in and said position players and pitchers are different. I guess I kind of understand that. But again, that was Michael Roth in that year was making his first pitching start in over a year for the Gamecocks, and we know what he did to Clemson in that particular game. So, yeah, he was a part of that team. Matt Price, again, was doing some things for that team. There was a lot of key players, Jackie Bradley Jr., some of y'all are saying. So it feels like there's a little bit of a consensus that Witt on that team was the third best player. And again, you look at his career numbers at South Carolina, and they're obviously very impressive. For South Carolina, his career game, he played in 195 games and hit 329 with 27 career homers. And in 2010, he set the Gamecock record for hitting streak with a 26-game hitting streak.
So this goes to my question, as I always ask, do we feel old yet? Because we have this guy that we saw play college baseball.
That had an iconic moment, too.
Had an iconic moment in all of our lives. Had a very long Major League Baseball career, and now he's retired. We've seen this thing from the beginning to the end.
And for both of us, well, all of us, he's younger than all of us, too.
Well, yeah, he is.
It's not like somebody retiring who's 44, 45, and you're like, ah.
Yeah, but he's not young, and that's really interesting. And are any of these guys around in MLB? Is he the last of them?
Walker's still in it.
Okay.
Walker's still in it. JBJ, I don't know what JBJ's done because he was doing broadcasting.
Yep.
And that would be it for that group.
You know, I was flashing back, thinking about some of them, and I remembered Scott Wingo with the record for getting hit. And I was looking up, I was like, how many? And I think in his career, he got hit by like 63 pitches.
Okay.
Man, the dude could just take literally take one for the team.
Nobody would argue that Wingo was better. I don't think anybody would argue Wingo was better at Merrifield. But that's another one where some people might go, nah, I remember Scott Wingo more than I remember. You might. I'm not saying that, but just because, Wingo was the ultimate junkyard dog that just was going to go out and do whatever it took. And if that meant taking one to the elbow or the ribs or the back to get on base, he was going to do it. He was going to do it. So 803-404-6100. By the way, speaking of streaks and the fact that as I just mentioned, Merrifield had a 26-game hit streak. I should mention this about the Braves. I don't know if y'all saw the stat last night. Michael Harris, the second, currently vying for a streak of going 31 games without being walked in a game. Just going up there and swinging away.
Take your swings.
He has tied Jeff Francoeur since back to 2006 with player. And by the way, Michael Harris on that list also with a 30-game not getting walked streak.
This guy swings the bat. I like it. I like it.
He's getting his hacks in. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, wrap up hour number 2. You're listening to the early game. Bill Gunner from Mid-State Roofing, where for nearly 30 years they have been the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that history that is your assurance that their professionals will provide the proper advice, service, and the results to the needs of your facility. But most importantly, they're going to do it in a manner both safe and pleasing to you and your operation. Whether it's your home or your business, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you. All you need to do is give them a phone call. That's 803-356-1919. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is there to help you with a maintenance contract. But again, give them a phone call, 803-356-1919. You will speak with an on-call technician after hours and a Mid-State Roofing employee during hours. You can also visit them on the web to learn more, midstateroofing.com. So give them a phone call today, 803-356-1919. If you've got a leak, let Mid-State Roofing take a peek.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this is it. That's why we just did a 1-year deal. Steelers didn't need to, put any extra years on that or anything. So, this was really about finishing with a lot of love and fun and peace for the career that I've had. I mean, I played 20 freaking years. It's been a long run, and I've enjoyed it. And what better place to finish than in one of the cornerstone franchises of the NFL with Mike Tomlin and a great group of leadership and great guys in the city that expects you to win.
Those are the words of Aaron Rodgers on the Pat McAfee Show. Is this really it? Is this really going to be it?
I hope so for him. I mean, I hope he's found his peace, and I hope he's found his love and his happiness and his zen and his joy.
Hey, let's hope he doesn't Brett Favre this.
Yeah, this is a fitting way to end. This will be fine. I hope.
We expect the Steelers to go 10-7 and get eliminated in the wild card round, right?
Yeah, they were going to do that, but with or without him. I mean, that's what Tomlin was going to do. So, like I said, this is a curious signing for me because it doesn't feel like he just admitted it's just for 1 year. So is this a bridge to something else? Is this Tomlin's last year? What's really the plan here? And
how did the players think? Like, how does the rest of the team respond to that? Like, okay, we're basically planning for a year.
Yeah, we're giving you a retirement around the sun trip here.
Yeah, so where are we long term?
If it's a 1 year deal, everybody's on a 1 year thing, and then maybe we just make the best of it. We know this is going to end like a summer camp fling with your boyfriend or girlfriend, and you're like, hey man, this is good. This is it. It's going to be a wrap. See you later. I don't know, but I hope for Aaron's sake that this is it.
And I think you said for Aaron's sake, we hope it all goes decently well because you can see this. Number one, and I'm not picking. And we'll talk about this in the next hour with Achilles because I want to get back into that. There's some interesting stuff. I know y'all talked about it a little bit with what seems to be more and more Achilles injuries occurring now. Football, a little more prominent because of things being turned and twisted and cleats getting caught in grass and things or turf. But it's hard to come back from that. And at his age, and there was nothing last year. I mean, he wasn't bad last year. Don't get me wrong. He wasn't like, he wasn't Jameis Winston last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are you getting in him at this point in his career?
A serviceable veteran quarterback who, if you had to get over the hump, maybe he would be the guy, or if your team was really bad, he could provide some stable leadership. But Pittsburgh's neither one of those. They're just sort of a middle-of-the-road squad.
Right now, yeah. Because he's better than Noodle Arm Manning when Peyton Manning couldn't throw it more than, 20 yards?
Yes.
And they won the Super Bowl, but that was because they had this ridiculous defense, and they had all the pieces there that could win. That's not who the Steelers are.
Right. And so it's really interesting to see what this plan is.
We'll talk more about this as we get closer to minicamp. At least so far, Aaron Rodgers has been a good teammate.
Yeah, and I think he's going to be a good teammate because the last part he said is Mike Tomlin. I think he has a lot of respect for Tomlin. I don't think he walked into the Jets and was like, Robert Saleh, I'm the captain.
I'm the guy.
Yeah, I'm the captain. And I think when he sees Tomlin, they have a mutual respect for each other. I think he'll be fine with that. He's okay with taking lead from him.
I think he has the money to, buy dinners and take care of all of his teammates. He's got story time. He's got living in a box stories. Like, yeah.
Again, last year he threw for almost 4,000 yards. He was 8th in the league. He threw for basically 3,897 yards. He was tied for 7th with 28 touchdowns, tied for 95th, so way down the list with 11 interceptions. Again, it's not like last year he was a dreaded, can't win you a game quarterback. I think I'm with you. I don't know if the Steelers roster is good enough for him to be that guy that gets them over the hump. And that, to me, is what makes it sure, or they look at it, maybe they think he is.
We'll see.
Hour 3 on the way. I want to get into a little bit of NBA talk. We'll talk about Colin Murray-Boyles. Does he have a significant other with him tonight? We'll address that. Was Tyrese Halliburton selfish playing in Game 7, or was he a warrior? I'll ask Preston that. I'm fascinated to hear it. And we got plenty more. Ace Bailey, bad advice? Have you ever gotten bad advice? We'll talk about it. It's the early game.
Pressing for our friends at Integrated Media. This is the time of year. The summer is here. You need to get yourself set up. We know football season is on the way, so why are you wasting time with calling the folks at Integrated Media? You can get your outdoor setup ready for the season so that they can have you looking at all the things that you need. So what do you need? You can get Samsung Terrace TVs that are waterproof. You can get speakers that are Sonos outdoor speakers that control your TV and music. Devices can control all your devices from just one remote. So it's home theater setup, adjusting your thermostat, monitoring your security systems from your cell phone. Integrated Media is the company that you need to call. So call Nathan and Michael at 803-948-8327. That's 803-948-8327. Or you can reach them online at integratedmediainc.com. That's online at integratedmediainc.com.
Downtown Columbia, Hugie at Blossom Street. We do have a report of an accident there. Also, Clemson Road at I-20. Old Cherokee at Maxey in Lexington. We do have a report of an accident, slowing things down a bit. And, yeah, it's going to be hot today. No question about it. We're looking at 100. The heat index could be 105, 108, somewhere in there. And there is the potential for some significant storms later this afternoon and this evening. 95 tomorrow with some afternoon storms. 94 on Friday with partly cloudy conditions. And really going to be maybe mid-90s for the weekend. But it's warming up already. 82 on 107.5 The Game.
$8 a.m. on a NBA draft evening. That's right. NBA. And tonight, if you're a South Carolina fan, you got a little bit of a reason to watch, Preston Thorne.
You got a huge reason to watch. A local kid's getting drafted. Number one, hasn't happened in 50 years. Hasn't happened this high in 50 years. We had Ronaldo Bachman. That was in, 2006?
2006 was drafted 20th by the
So even if we were to some of you listening out there, 2006 might sound like 50 years ago, but it's not. 50 years ago, who was drafted?
South Carolina was wrapping up a run of 5 consecutive first-round picks. 1975, Tom Boswell goes 17th to the Celtics. In 74, Brian Winters, 12th to the Lakers. 73, Kevin Joyce, 11th to the Warriors. 72, Tom Rikers, 8th to the Knicks. In 1971, it was John Roach, 14th to the Suns.
Shout out to all of them. But again, 50 years ago. So this is an accomplishment. This is something that, as we talked about, should be very much celebrated or acknowledged as something that does not happen very often with the athletic program, period, but specifically in the basketball team.
Yeah. If you want to go back before that, it was Skip Harlicka. I apologize, 1968. Not sure if I'm saying that correctly, but he was a first round at 13th, and he went to the St. Louis Hawks.
Good squad. Good squad.
After that, it took 75. It took until 2006 to have another first round pick, and the Gamecocks will now have 2 first round picks in the last 3 years. So G.G. Jackson I'm sorry. I know I'm wrong on that. G.G. Jackson I looked at it as Devin Carter. And you said earlier, we do not claim Devin Carter.
We can't claim him just because when he got drafted from Providence, I believe. So he didn't, even though we might have groomed him, we might have made him, we can't claim him.
In what I remember to be my lifetime, 1994, Jamie Watson went second round. He went to the Utah Jazz. He was that's a second round pick. In 1998, Ryan Stack goes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. That was a second-round pick. Sandarius Thornwell in 2017 goes to originally the Milwaukee Bucks. He gets traded on draft night to the Clippers. So Thornwell went second-round, 48th pick. And then the next time South Carolina had a draft pick was 2003, and that would be G.G. Jackson going to the Grizzlies. So you hope that this is going to continue to change. You hope that this is what Lamont Paris is going to do. But obviously, the history of South Carolina basketball and first-round draft picks, it's been a long, long, long time, or it took a long time to get from Tom Boswell in 1975 to Ronaldo Bachman in 2006.
Yeah, and it's taken a long time since 2006 to get here. And so this is something that should be celebrated greatly because not only did he play for the university, but he's from the city where the university resides. He is a local product, played high school basketball here, won on the high school level. So he's somebody that, as we stated, this should probably be a bigger story than what it seems like it is. And the basketball social media team needs to be documenting this event in every aspect of it because it hasn't happened before, and who knows when it's going to happen again.
You hope soon.
You hope.
You hope. You hope one of these guys develops. The other part is you just second. I wonder about this. This is where Justin King is so good with what he does in the football promotions department, the media department. You're right. You got to showcase this, and not just because he's a first-round pick, but because now you've got 2 Midlands guys, Ridgeview High School, G.G. Jackson, AC Flora High School, Colin Murray Boyles, and showcase, hey, you can come to this university. I've said this for a long time, and I've talked to previous coaches. There are some forces working against the University of South Carolina in trying to push Midlands players or in-state players away from the University of South Carolina. This needs to, as you said, be really documented to showcase, hey, you can come and achieve what you want at the University of South Carolina. You can be a first-round pick, a top 20 pick, if you come to the University of South Carolina. Look at what Colin Murray Boyles did.
Yeah, and that message needs to be reinforced, and it needs to be sold over and over and over again because there are some prospects that are coming up who will be coming to make this choice here soon. And if your ultimate goal is to be a first-round pick, you can do that right here. They need to show that process because Lamont has 2 feathers in his cap, which he should be able to pull out whenever he needs to.
The other big question, the TMZ-style question, who is in the green room with him tonight? Now, Jen, let's play the clip again, and let's see if we can pick up on a particular voice that may indicate they will be with Colin Murray Boyles tonight.
You're the only one to come in a full suit. Why?
I got a lot of suits. Might Might as well show them up, man.
Crazy face, game face. Yeah, do that couple 89. Hold the ball here. Hold the ball here.
Preston, who do you think that? What are the internet reports saying?
Internet reports are saying that that voice at the beginning of that video may be a voice that is familiar to Gamecock fans, maybe a voice that is more familiar to Gamecock women's basketball fans. You may or may not know the voice. In fact, here's the deal. When I was going through and looking for Colin Murray Boyle's highlight clips, more TikToks came up than basketball clips. And he wasn't alone in those TikToks. They are very proficient, they being Colin and Chloe. They are very proficient on the TikTok beat. And so they have made a lot of them. They are very good at what they do. This is a public couple. And reports stated by the state newspaper that, yes, Miss Kitts will be in attendance for the draft tonight.
I never would have thought to look this up until we had this conversation, but I'm just glancing. Maybe Chloe Kitts is preparing accordingly for next year. She is lifted 2026 mock draft. This is off of ESPN.com. This was back on April 23rd. Chloe Kitts at that point was listed as the number 10 overall prospect. So maybe this is her prepping, seeing how it all plays out, understanding, do you want to look overexcited tonight? Do you want to jump up? And by the way, who's the first person he hugs? Mom or Chloe?
Oh, it's mom.
Mom,
Off
definitely
top.
mom.
Yeah, you got to make that. Yeah, you got to do that. You got to make sure. You got to make sure you do that for sure.
Yeah, Christmas is going to be rough.
Yeah, everybody plays a part. Be a team player. Play the background. I'll get to you later. I'll see you. Let me get the family first. Make sure everything's taken care of on that front. But again, this just shows what we talked about. We talked about Bree Beal and J.C. Horn, right? Yeah, the other day we were talking about Paul Skeens and Livy Dunn. Hey, guess what? Kids come to college and they meet people that you might eventually be forever with. It's a really cool thing that's happening. We'll see how this turns out, but more power to them.
Just real quick, the Chloe Kitts breakdown again off of ESPN. Now, this is back in April. It says this past year was Kitts' best overall, especially with how well she played in the postseason as MVP of the SEC tournament and Birmingham Regional. She also started to make some progress as a three-point shooter. She hit 7. I feel like we're also discussing Colin Murray Boyles.
I'm about to say over 100. Did she hit more or less than Colin?
And then it goes on to say which will help her WNBA profile. So cool for both of them. I'm sure it's happened. And by the way, they didn't meet in college, and they didn't meet, they met professionally. But Bam Adebayo and Asia Wilson, and now you got Bam picking on the zebra attire for Asia Wilson that she wore the other day. But I don't know if you've had – I'd be interested to know if you've had married, if they get married, or boyfriend, girlfriend, what it is, both be – let's just say lottery selections. I don't know what the lottery technically is for the WNBA, but to be that highly, Lamont Paris or whoever at the university start making inroads if there's any children involved like JC and Bree.
Yeah, we definitely have some inroads to make here. So yes, she's reported to be also Lamont and the staff and then the family. So I don't know what the numbers are, but they will all be there. If you remember last year, Lamont was with Gigi Jackson. They had the party locally, and so all the family and staff were there. So now they all get to make the trip. So yeah, Lamont's done well the past couple years in these drafts.
So that's the South Carolina aspect of it. Again, just to give you the breakdown again, there's a lot of different projections out there. CBS Sports' Cameron Salerno having him go 7 to the Pelicans. It'd be kind of interesting. 10th to the Suns. Suns are in complete rebuild mode now. I was watching last night. What they gave up to get Kevin Durant and what they got back, how they blew 2 deals is fairly impressive. Adam Finkelstein and Kyle Boone having also going to the Suns. Gary Parrish has him going at number 11 to the Trailblazers. I'd not prefer that because that's a lot of late-night games. We don't get to see him play. CBS Sports' Matt Norlander, who's pretty good at this, has him going 16th to the Grizzlies. That'd be interesting to have 3 South Carolina natives on the Grizzlies. You'd have, obviously, Ja Morant, who they're not going to trade, to go along with Gigi and Colin Murray Boyles. And David Cobb has him going 17th to the Timberwolves, which, again, it's not a bad place to go, but not as good as the Ringers' J. Kyle Mann, who has him going 15th to the Thunder.
Possibly my OKC Thunder. Like I said, this might be my ticket onto this bandwagon. The dynasty is primed up. I'm liking what I seen from these guys. If we get a local guy on the team, I can just act like I've been here forever and be like, man, my guys, my OKC Thunder.
You guys are just Columbia West, because you'd have Dylan Jones from Keenan, you'd have Colin Murray Boyles from right here.
But to a basketball point, what his skill set seems to be bringing is that he's going to be a guy who's a glue guy, can do a lot of things, and maybe he's the dude that takes the Timberwolves to the next level. He provides some of that grit that they need on that team.
Maybe the same thing. I don't want to say grit for the Thunder, but he fits, because
he fits that piece.
Again, you mentioned this a couple weeks ago, or maybe not a couple weeks ago, but you mentioned it, I think, in game 1 or game 2 after game 1, and you talked about the way the Thunder play defense, and he would fit that mold of what they need. And plus, when you've got guys that can score, you don't need another scorer. You need a true role player that's going to come in and play his 8 to 15 minutes, rebound, and defend.
Yep.
803-404-6100. Speaking of the team opposite of the Thunder, I got a question for Preston. Now, he was a college athlete. I wasn't. But was Tyrese Halliburton, was he being selfish on Sunday night? Did he set the Pacers back several years by playing in a game that, yes, it was important, or was it a game he had to play in? I'll bring up a lot of points and see what you think about that when we come back. You're listening to the early game.
Hey, it's Jen for CHW Cabinetry in Lexington. You know, we did that demolition in the kitchen when we had that flood. Boy, that wasn't fun. But CHW Cabinetry sure made it better, helping us figure out, okay, what layout's going to be best, what accessories might be good to put in here. You know, if you have to do it, let's try to have a little fun with it. And then we get the photorealistic rendering of the kitchen being finished. So then we could take that and say, oh, that's what it's going to look like. So now we can figure out what we need for flooring and for countertops and backsplash and all of that. And but I'm going to tell you, you don't have to do a complete remodel to utilize the services at CHW Cabinetry. We've replaced a couple cabinets in a couple bathrooms. You could maybe just change up your closet a little bit, get some drawers put in your pantry. So many options to update in your home, and CHW Cabinetry in Lexington can help. Visit them online, chwcabinetry.com, or call them today at 803-520-6837. Tell them Jen Jensen sent you. CHW Cabinetry, passion from inspiration to installation. Clemson Road at I-20, still working that earlier tie-up. Also in downtown Columbia, Hugie at Blossom. And in Lexington, Old Cherokee around Maxey, there is an accident there. So be mindful of those. Hope they don't slow you down too much. 100 is the high we're looking for today. Could see some potentially severe thunderstorms later this afternoon. And, of course, today, another day of heat indexes of 105, 108, somewhere in there. Tomorrow, we could see some thunderstorms as well. 95 will be our high. And then 94, pretty much where we'll be maybe Friday and Saturday. But warming up for sure, 82 currently, and 107.5 the game.
.18 on a Wednesday morning. Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. Reminder, coming up tomorrow, go to the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street, between 12 and 3 for a chance to win Gamecock football tickets. The halftime show will be out there. Again, that'll be at the Nest, 1331 Gadsden Street. Stop on by, get yourself a chance to win Gamecock football tickets. And again, that'll be tomorrow, 12 to 3, the halftime show out at the Nest. Haven't seen you since Sunday. Or, well, since last Friday, but haven't seen you since Sunday, the Game 7 of the NBA Finals, the most watched game, NBA Game 7, since I believe it was 2016?
2019, most watched.
Okay, 2019.
NBA playoff game, yes.
All right. Your thoughts real quick on the game.
Oh, it was great game, great series. It was a fun series. The team that we thought was the better team eventually ended up pulling it out, as we sort of saw. I thought we were going to get maybe a true real-life Hoosiers moment, because the Pacers were winning by 1 at halftime, but they just weren't as good as OKC. But overall, it's a great series.
So my question, I was watching a lot of this last 2 days, and we're watching this now with the Celtics. The Celtics are trading people off. The Celtics would be way over the luxury tax. They don't want to pay it next year. They realize with Jason Tatum, probably not going to win the world championship. So they are basically writing off next year. They're basically saying, hey, we're going to get rid of a lot of money. Maybe, I don't want to say they're tanking, but they may look at it as like, hey, we're going to kind of maybe not make – I don't know what they're thinking. Or I know what they're thinking, but they're basically writing it off. And this is because of the Jason Tatum injury. So I ask you, I know it's Game 7. I know that you'll do anything for your team, but there is now becoming a history of these calf strains. If you play the games and you don't let it heal, you know the consequences that you could face. And Tyrese Halliburton has said, I know the consequences that I would. He said, I'll do it again. The problem to me, did you set your organization back? Remember, this wasn't like a great organization. They were 50-32 this year. They're not like the Thunder. Your franchise now, he's out for next year. Tyrese Halliburton is out. We don't know how he'll recover. There is right now at least a decent history of Kevin Durant coming back and maybe not being Kevin Durant of old, but being really good. Klay Thompson has come back, and he's not the Klay Thompson of old, but he's able to get on the court. You might have ended a run for your franchise by deciding to play in Game 7.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fine that you played, but you had the injury. You knew what could happen instead of letting it heal. And I do agree. I saw somewhere yesterday that people said, well, if it's Game 1 or Game 2, maybe you sit out. Game 7, you don't sit out. I get it. But again, that may be the end, not the end of the Pacers. They're a good franchise. But it felt like they were set up to bounce back next year and maybe another 2 or 3 year window to make a rise in the East.
I hear that argument. My counter argument would be they're set up to get back to where the next year? Back to the championship. And so if you have a chance to win the championship now, I think you have to go out of there and you have to play that game, because you have to try and win, because there's no game. As you said, they were 50-32. We don't know if they're going to make it to that point again. We don't know if they'll ever be in that moment again. So from the franchise, there's two aspects. From the franchise's aspect, yes, it might set you back up, but he might not get injured. He played Game 5. Didn't happen. Are we going to take another risk now? Maybe. And then from Tyrese's standpoint, the point that I was making is that, yeah, you got to play that game.
Okay.
You have to. Because you're only saving yourself to possibly get back to this point again, and you never know if you're going to make it there again.
The other part about that, it feels like the East is wide open right now. It feels like the Celtics are out of it. The Heat couldn't get Kevin Durant, and I'm not real thrilled about the direction of the Heat. The Sixers, they're just they have the number 3 pick tonight, and they got blown off by Ace Bailey, which is a whole other story that we'll get to in the next segment. But I feel like the East is open, and the Pacers really came together. I don't know who you would want to label as the third person, Obi Toppin or the kid from Arizona. I'm blanking on his last name. Benedict Mathurin. Benedict Mathurin. I don't know who you'd want to go with, but they had a solid a group of 3. They'll make the playoffs next year. I think T.J. McConnell will step in and be fine, but I don't think they're a contender to get out of the East and get back to the championship. Maybe I'm wrong because I did just say, the Bucks are going to miss Damian Lillard. The Knicks may have a fan. Spike Lee may be coaching the team by the end of all this.
We still don't have a coach with the Knicks yet.
So there's a lot of things going on there.
This is why the Magic made their move. They're like, hey, we got a chance here.
Doors wide open.
This might be our spot. This might be a spot for them to sort of creep up and out there. And the East seems like it's a moving target. The Pacers unfortunately suffered that setback as far as the trajectory of the team was concerned. But you just never know if you're going to make it. You just never know if you're going to make it back there, man. They've never been there before. They probably won't get there. Well, they won't get there next.
Well, they got there with Larry Bird, not Larry Bird as player, Larry Bird as coach back in I think 2000, where they lost to the Lakers. I think they got swept that year. But the truth is, it felt like they had overcome a lot this year, and the pieces had come together, and Halliburton was growing into his own. Now, what do you kind of do? Do you think you still got it? Do you go and try to make a big move to get somebody for 1 year? It's going to be interesting for me to watch how this plays out, because also going to this, Preston, I don't know what y'all exactly talked about with these Achilles injuries, but they are becoming more prevalent, it seems, in the NBA. It feels like I'd never heard of them until Kobe tore his Achilles, and then you had, what was it? Who was first? You had, was it Clay? I think it was Clay who was second, and then Kevin Durant third, and now you've had Jason Tatum, Damian Lillard, and by the way, have you seen the video of Damian Lillard's one?
No.
It's about his. It looks about his. There's just a rebound bouncing back to him, and he's close to half court. And he kind of takes a step back and then tries to explode forward to go get it. He actually gets it and flips it to somebody, but he rolls around on the floor. It looks like it's just something that you would go down as a cramp or maybe a strain or something.
Yeah, well, there's been all types of theories as the internet can provide you. You can put on your tinfoil hat and go down those type of rabbit holes where there's those things. But we did play a clip where it was just talking about the idea of load management in the NBA is a real deal, because these players are playing. One, they're playing much more basketball, and the type of basketball they're playing is a lot different than our glory years from the 90s, when you would just walk the ball up, right?
Yeah.
I think the doctor we had yesterday, they're running over more than 200 more miles per year on these players, and when you add that up, it becomes a cumulative effect. And so they're playing these games in 120s and 130s. Very different in 85, 87, where you walk the ball up and you back them down. The game is way more explosive. So a lot of those factors are coming to play. And then, of course, the internet says it's the low-top shoes.
I missed that one.
Yeah.
I missed the low-top shoes theory.
It's the low-top shoes, man. If guys are playing in low-top shoes, they're blowing their Achilles. I don't know. There's a lot of theories out there. I'm just telling you, there are a lot of things that some folks could say.
803-404-6100. We'll come back. Speaking of tonight's draft, what's the worst advice you have ever received? What is the worst advice you have ever received? Weigh in 803-404-6100, because Ace Bailey, it's hard for me to believe that of where he wants to go because of how he thinks he can help. It also is hard for me to believe that he's coming up with these ideas on his own. And we'll explain that to you and let you listen to a little bit of audio. You're listening to Preston Thorne, Bill Gunner, Jen Jensen. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for Corley Pool Solutions, where they believe in providing the absolute highest quality swimming pool service at the most affordable price to you and your family. So if you look out back right now and you see some algae in your pool, or you see a bunch of leaves, or you see it looking a little darker than it should, it's time for you to call Tracy Corley. With over 20 years of experience in the industry, Tracy Corley and Corley Pool Solutions knows exactly how to keep that pool nice, fresh, looking beautiful for your 4th of July cookout, for your end of summer cookout, for just going home in the afternoon and hopping in the pool. So give them a phone call today and line up your maintenance. 803-445-8109. Again, that's 803-445-8109. Give Corley Pool Solutions a call today. Ask them about their flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. That's right, flat rate pricing, including all of the chemicals. Contact Corley Pool Solutions today. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you.
I-20 westbound at exit 55, that would be Highway 6. Do have a report of an accident there. And again, that's I-20 westbound at exit 55. Downtown Columbia still working the accident. Hugie at Blossom. Columbiana Drive at Harbison Boulevard, an accident there. 2 more to make you aware of. Cox Ferry Road near Nazareth and Atlas Road at Garner's Ferry. And yep, going to be hot. First day of summer, and it is delivering 100 today. Heat index could be 105, 108. But we do have the chance for some potentially severe thunderstorms this afternoon. 95 tomorrow with some afternoon or evening storms, cloudy, and 94 for your Friday. And right now, it's kind of ramping up already. We are at 82 on 107.5 The Game.
Ace, how are you tuning out the noise in the pre-draft? And obviously, are you hearing it, and what's your thoughts on it?
No, I'm just working on basketball. That's all I'm focused on so far.
But do you feel like people get that the wrong perception of you?
I feel like I can only control what I can control. I mean, you can think how you think, but I can control what I can control.
So what can you control?
Me playing basketball.
So you could have controlled going with the workout. So I don't understand why.
I'm focused on basketball. That's my decision. It's basketball.
That's the voice of Ace Bailey. Ace Bailey, one of the top recruits in the nation last year, went to Rutgers, had a very good year, and was set to be a top 3 overall pick. And maybe he still is. Maybe he still is, Preston. But the people around him basically started canceling workouts with the top teams. For example, the Philadelphia 76ers. And Ace Bailey could go there. We talked about the Sixers are kind of trying to figure things out. They've still got some really good players there. Ace Bailey could go in and be a key contributor on a team that, as we just talked about with the Eastern Conference, could very well put themselves in position to go to the finals next year.
Now, when you say the people around him, we're talking about his agents?
It is being listed as his agent. His agent officially canceled the visit. I mean, again, you know how these things go. Players go there, they go through a workout with the team management, with the coaches and everything, so they can watch them actually in person in a, basically as it's described to me, a sterile environment where, hey, they are in control of everything. So if they want Ace Bailey, running up and down the court, dribbling the basketball, or, just whatever they want, they're going to put him through their own personal workout to decide if he fits how they want. And the story is that both Ace Bailey and some family members were like, no, you don't need to do that. You're too good. You don't need to bend the knee to any organization.
Okay.
And
now, again, because there's a fine line between are his family members acting as his agents? Were his agents in collusion with his family? Because this is something that we've seen. We've seen athletes try and maneuver throughout the draft process. We've seen this in other sports. We've seen this in football. We've seen this in basketball. So are they just trying to get the draft process into their favor, or where does this be? Because I think the legitimacy is whether or not these are people who are professionals as agents, or are these people who are acting as professionals?
The way I have written now, this is at least whether it's somebody taking the fall or however it is basically it's listed as Bailey's camp.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we know how those things go. But it is kind of coming down to his agent.
Okay.
But when they have described it, I think the agent has kind of taken a bit like, hey, this is my decision. Unfortunately, the agent doesn't have to do these kind of interviews like Ace Bailey did with the media prior to the draft. So Ace Bailey's got to be the one that goes out. So I don't know if he got coached up for that particular interview where he's like, I'm here to talk basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, this is basically his way of saying I can control basketball. I'm here to talk basketball. But with that being said, the other is that they are attempting to control where he's drafted. And one other thing is that Bailey wants to end up on a team located somewhere between Atlanta and New York.
Okay.
Maybe Philadelphia is just a little too far west. I'm not sure. There's been a lot of rumors that he believes he wants that they think he wants to go to the Washington Wizards. Reason being, he's the star of the show. With the Sixers, he's probably behind Tyrese Maxey. He's behind Joel Embiid.
Well, you just answered a big question for me. Because my whole thing I've been trying to figure out this whole time is how does Rutgers have 2 top 10 picks and beat Rutgers in basketball that they were this year? And I think you just answered the question for me. It's this dude, it's Ace Bailey. Because he's not just starting to act like this when he's going into the NBA. This is apparently what this is his get down. And so, yes, now something became a lot more crystallized to me is that Rutgers had 2 draft-type players, lottery players, and they were a middling team.
Right.
So that makes a lot of sense. Second, how has being the star of the Washington Wizards worked out for anybody?
Yeah, no, not even Jordan.
That is a black hole if there's ever one in there. So if he's saying, yeah, I want to go to the Wizards, I also have learned a little bit more about who Ace Bailey
and
is.
that's where I'm saying that the bad advice, because again, and I left out a player, Paul George is also on that team. Now, Paul George is 35. I think he turns 36 here in the back half of the year. But, yeah, he would be behind Max in terms of stardom, Maxey, George, and Embiid. But you also hear there, I mean, you're talking about they have the number 3 pick. They're going to get a good player. That's why I say, like, those 3 next year in the East very well could get them over the hump to getting to. Now, you got to make sure Embiid's not injured about every 4th game.
And Paul George.
Paul George is another guy. He's about every 3rd game. And Tyrese Maxey has developed. He's only 24. He's developed into one of the better players in the league. But this is part of the rumor is like, oh, well, Washington stinks. I can go there and be a star. Now, there's 2 ways you can look at it. I can go there and uplift that franchise and be the star.
Won't happen.
Or I can just go there and be a star and middle around.
The Washington Wizards have not won 50 games in my lifetime. That's a verifiable fact. They are terrible. Even when they have ask Jordan Poole about how being the star of the Wizards worked out. Ask Bradley Beal about how that's worked out. Ask Chris Webber about how that's worked out. Ask John Wall how that's worked out. It does not work. The Wizards they are dreadful as a franchise. So, Ace Bailey, good luck. You might have done the 76ers a favor by letting them know up front that they don't need to draft him.
They're still considering him. A lot of stuff late last night and this morning is that VJ Edgecombe, the guard out of Baylor, is likely to be that guy for them. But I'll go back. See, you can't control where you go, right? If somebody drafts you now, you can try and finagle. You can try and play with the system and say, I'm not going to do this or I'm not going to do that. But you can't go back to college. They're hoping, from what I've read, that the Wizards are willing to trade up to the 3rd pick. You get more money, you get what you want, and that the Sixers will just slide back to 6, and they'll get a good draft. If the Wizards don't draft you, you run a wild game of getting drafted by the Hornets.
Ooh, boy.
You run this wild game of being paired with LaMelo Ball and Brandon Miller.
Yeah, those are 2 franchises that are not running in the right directions right now.
That's like drawing the short straw.
For the shortest.
I mean, and this is why I asked the question, like, what's the worst advice you have ever received? Texter weighs in. You always want to keep the worst advice. You always want to keep a small balance on your credit card indefinitely as a way of building credit. He says this is false. Credit bureaus assume you can't pay it off if you don't pay it off monthly. He says, context, I am a banker. Another texter weighs in and says, I graduated from Dreer in 2013. All the guys around my age were told not to stay home. It's weird, to be honest.
Listen, man, that's why you got to dread. You gotta make sure that you are vetting who you're getting this advice from. And that's why I was asking, is this his agent? Is his family acting as an agent? Now, your family could say if your family is in the agent business, that could work.
Was it Lamar Jackson's mom?
Lamar Jackson's mom?
Yeah,
that worked, and there's some really interesting information coming out about how that process with them, how they might have been more right than not right. So if your family member is a verifiable agent, then cool. But if it's somebody who's just acting as, then that's an issue. So yes, make sure you know who you're getting this advice from.
803-404-6100, how you can weigh in. Yeah, interesting to see that because, again, you go to the Sixers and you're a legitimate playoff team. You're definitely a playoff team. You potentially are a team to get to the World Championship. Or you can go to the Hornets and the Wizards. And, well, we will never see you play on television unless you have the league pass. We'll not really know your name. You might be really good, might score 30 points a game. But you're kind of locked into that contract for a few years, getting whipped constantly.
The first thing on NBA Reddit that I was looking up just now to look up the Wizards, it said that the Wizards clinched another sub-50 win season. Clinched another sub-50 win season for the 45th consecutive year in a row.
Is that right?
That is correct. As I said, they have not won 50 games in my lifetime. And that's what you want to do? Good luck, brother.
Worst advice you ever got. 803-404-6100. We'll come back, close up the Wednesday episode. It's the early game. Bill Gunner for AAA Heating and Air. Let me tell you, when it comes to HVAC replacements, AAA Heating and Air is the go-to name in the Midlands. With guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty, it's no wonder the absolute best in the business. And you've heard Jen give that weather report all morning. 100 degrees today, heat index of close to 106. It's going to be warm. So I hope your heating and air unit, specifically your air conditioning, is working properly. Maybe you don't just need a new heating and air unit. Maybe you just need some repairs. Maybe you're hearing some clinking or clunking. Well, if your system is broken and you're worried about the cost, don't worry about it. It's AAA Heating and Air. They've got you covered with a 12-month payment plan with no credit checks for all repairs. All you need to do is be a homeowner with a valid bank account, and you are all set. Give AAA Heating and Air a call today for all of your HVAC needs. 803-677-1500. Tell them Bill Gunner sent you. 8:49 as we wrap things up here on your Wednesday morning. Bill Gunner, Preston Thorne, Jen Jensen, as we get ready for the NBA draft tonight. 2-day event. I'll be honest, knowing the NBA, I don't know what's more worthless, rounds 5 and 6 of the NFL draft or day 2 of the NBA draft.
Day 2.
So tomorrow, if you're going to watch, don't even be like, oh, 2 nights of the NBA draft. No, it's really just tonight. And then day 2 of the NBA draft is, oh boy, that's odds of making a team become slim and even slimmer.
Yeah, because they have the two-way deals, and most guys, your second rounders is not really a thing in the NBA. If you're a guy on the roster, you're a first-round dude. Even more so, more likely, a pretty high first-round dude.
Yeah.
Because that league is very tough to make and stick on a roster.
Yeah, and if you remember, this year we're talking about something positive. We're talking about Colin Murray Boyles, who should go in the lottery tonight. First ever South Carolina Green Room invite, and not only will we be judging what team he goes to, how well his handshakes are, we'll also be judging his suit.
Yeah, and I have no doubt, because I saw the suit that he had on in the video that we played earlier. It's very clean, very classic. I don't also, if we had to base Colin Murray, if we had to project his suit game based on his game, I predict he's going to wear a very gray fundamental suit, because that matches his game.
Nothing garnet?
He won't wear anything garnet. It'll be gray, blue, classic, just like his game. Okay. Fundamentally sound. He won't do anything wild.
Does he go with a tie or no tie? He wore the open collar on the video you're talking about.
Oh, that's a good one. I think he goes with the tie.
Okay. All right. So we will watch that tonight. Again, the draft projections for Colin Murray Boyles, pretty wide ranging, anywhere from number 7 to 17. Getting picked higher, really cool. Great to talk about. Getting picked at 15 or 17, 15 is the Thunder, 17 is the Timberwolves. Now you're talking maybe a chance to play for a NBA World Championship.
That's what you want. Those are the ones that you sort of honed on, is that those were great situations for him to bring his skill set to. However, when you start talking about some of those other teams which he's projected to, not great.
Well, let me ask you this. 43-year-old Preston Thorne says Thunder or Timberwolves.
Mm-hmm.
What does 20-year-old Preston Thorne say? I want to be drafted higher. I want to be able to say I was a top 10 pick, but I got sent to the Phoenix Suns, which not a bad place to live, by the way. Like, if we're breaking everything down, Phoenix, not an awful place to live.
Solid place to live, yeah, because all things being considered, if you're just going on places to live, OKC and Minnesota.
And I throw Memphis in there. It's 15, 16, 17. Memphis has got a nice core.
Yeah, if you saw the parade from OKC yesterday, it looked like Oklahoma City. Not a major metropolis. So I don't know what you value just from a basketball standpoint. You do not want to go to Phoenix because they are a hot mess.
Maybe you would like New Orleans, but again, there's another hot mess organization right now.
Yeah, you don't want to do that either. You don't want to do that either.
So, again, that'll be tonight. Starts at 8 o'clock. I believe it's on ABC tonight. A lot of mock drafts kind of having him, again, as I mentioned, CBS Sports has him going, Cameron Salerno has him going 7th to the Pelicans, Matt Norlander and David Cobb. Matt Norlander with 16th to the Grizzlies, 17th to the Timberwolves. And then you go to another CBS Sports, Gary Parrish has him going 11th to the Trailblazers, and Adam Finkelstein and Kyle Boone have him going 10th to the Suns. But the big one, I think this is, you're right about where you live, but if you want to learn, you want to be on a scrappy team, and maybe who he fits the best, 15th to the Thunder.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one you're holding your breath for, because that would be a very nice landing spot for him, and that'd be somewhere where he could take his skill set and put it to use immediately.
And again, the thing about tonight, how does the University of South Carolina basketball program document this? Say what you want about the records and how Lamont Paris got or how G.G. Jackson ended up at South Carolina. If Lamont Paris can go into a home and say, listen, I've had 2 players drafted in 3 years. One would have been a higher draft pick if he probably comes not a year earlier, and that would be G.G. Jackson. One is a top 15 pick in Colin Murray Boyles. Look at what we can do for you, but you've got to kind of do the social media thing and make sure that it gets out there on Twitter.
We need to see this every step of this process. We need to see him getting on the private university-sponsored plane. He needs to be seeing him putting
Lamont
on
Paris standing next to him, obviously in the group. When they snap and they dap up, maybe I don't know, is Lamont Paris the second person, well, third. It's got to go mom first, dad second, and then third to Chloe Kitts or Lamont Paris.
Got to go to. This is where he gets a tough spot.
He better have this on a sheet of paper.
Everybody has to play their role, right? Lamont and Chloe have to look at each other, and Lamont gives her you go first.
Yeah, because you know what? It's okay if you make Lamont mad because you already got to the NBA.
There you go. Yeah. So he gives it. You go first. She goes, and then he daps her up, and then all the other staff that's there.
But again, yeah, if you're the South Carolina media team, you're there for the Lamont Paris, Colin Murray Boyles hug, handshake, dap up, or whatever, and you promote it. You promote it. South Carolina. I know Lamont Paris spoke earlier this week.
Or you can wait another 25 years. That could work. Or you can wait another 20 years till the next first round draft pick comes around. It's your choice.
Yeah, it's a good point. Yeah. Well, thankfully in this case, yeah. What is it? It's been 19 years.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Another 20.
Overshot it.
And technically the second one in the last 50 years. So you're right.
You might want to do this.
Get it captured.
You might want to get this one on tape.
Get it captured. We'll be back tomorrow. Josh Harris will join us for our Corley Pool Solutions Checkered Flag Challenge. We'll talk about what transpires tonight. Do a little Braves chat. They're playing the Mets again. That's good news. If they were playing the Rockies or the Marlins, we'd be worried. Mets, they've got under control. Been a lot of fun. Hope y'all have a great rest of the day.
Appreciate y'all.
Bill Gunner for Mid-State Roofing, where for 30 years, Mid-State Roofing has been the leader, the proven leader in the roofing and waterproofing industry. And it's that history that is your assurance that their professionals will provide the proper advice, service, and results to the needs of your facility. So give them a phone call today and line up your maintenance. 803-356-1919. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mid-State Roofing is there to help you with your maintenance needs. If you give them a call after hours, you'll speak with an on-call technician. You give them a phone call during hours, a Mid-State Roofing employee. So whether you're here in Columbia, maybe you're in Myrtle Beach or Florence, Aiken or Augusta, Greenville or Charleston, Mid-State Roofing is ready to help you. You heard Jen say it a little while ago. Could be some heavy thunderstorms tonight. So if you have a leak, call Mid-State Roofing and let them take a peek. 803-356-1919 or